Global evolution. I transplanted the heart of the Supreme God. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326. Is it interesting to taunt like this? Bai Pu's single challenge victory over Border Town Wanderer was not just a simple win, but also laid the foundation for Xichen Polytechnic University's victory. The second player to appear was Blood Spider, and the second player to appear from Jianmen University was Lanfeng. Lanfeng's face darkened. Although she said in the trash talk session that she was not afraid of Blood Spider and would teach Blood Spider what real archery was. But in fact, looking at the entire Xichen Polytechnic team, apart from Bai Pu, the pervert, Blood Spider was the opponent Lanfeng least wanted to meet. The game kicked off, and Blood Spider cast Dragon Hunting Mark on Lanfeng, gaining a 25-point movement speed bonus. This movement speed is constant, and as long as Blood Spider moves in the direction of Lanfeng, it will always exist. Moreover, the Dragon Hunting Mark has the ability to vaguely sense the opponent's position. All of Lanfeng's hiding methods were useless. While Lanfeng tried to cast Frost Arrow remotely to slow down Blood Spider and execute a kite tactic, Blood Spider also raised his hand and shot a crossbow arrow. It happened to be stuck when Lanfeng was charging to shoot, and Blood Daoqi shot 3 times in a row. Lanfeng's Frost Arrow could not directly hit the Blood Spider. After all, the Blood Spider's movement speed was too fast. Unlike spellcasters, archers can't adjust the trajectory of the bow and arrow. She could only use the Frost Arrow's level 4 special effect, Frostfall, to form a large-scale deceleration field to reduce the Blood Spider's speed. Frost Arrow Frostfall area can reduce the Blood Spider's movement speed by 10 points. But the Blood Spider's professional skill, Dragon Hunter Mark level 4 special effect, Blood Loss, can stack the deceleration layer, and 3 consecutive shots directly reduced Lanfeng's movement speed by 15 points. When the two shot at each other, Lanfeng's speed was reduced more than the Blood Spider. The Blood Spider also has a constant acceleration skill of 25 points. Although Lanfeng used many displacement or movement speed increasing abilities such as back jump and sprint, he was still chased by the Blood Spider relentlessly because these acceleration abilities were limited in time and had a long cooldown. After getting close, the Blood Spider directly lifted up its thighs, with 2 daggers in hand, and turned into a melee assassin to attack. This is the Blood Spider's specialty. Lanfeng has a good family background. She is a direct descendant of the Ma family in Zillion District. She has dabbled in various combat specialties and has a solid foundation. She also has an advanced intermediate combat level. Whether it is dodging or using the back of the bow for close combat, she is very good at it. But close combat is not her main means after all, just like the Border Town prodigal son cannot use long-range shooting as his main means. More importantly, the Blood Spider is higher in level than her, has stronger attributes, and has higher combat expertise. Seeing the opportunity, she slashed with a knife, and Lanfeng's arm was splattered with the blood. The Blood Spider followed and drilled into the inner circle, kicking, dagger cutting, knee bumping, a series of attacking movements like flowing water, beating Lanfeng dizzy. The Blood Spider used up all of its breath and finally ended with a high-frequency swirl stab, beating Lanfeng into white light. Xi Polytechnic School Team, another victory. In the stands, the host Xianyu used slow-motion playback to comment on the performance of the two beautiful contestants again. Xianyu is not stronger than them, but a bystander can see clearly. It's like the esports competitions in the AD era. The coaches and commentators can explain the games very well, but when they are really on the field, they will definitely be beaten by professional players. At this moment, a staff member ran up to the stage and handed her a card. Xianyu received the card, her eyes widened slightly, and then she smiled and said, "Okay, I just received news that Xichen Polytechnic gave up the next 3 solo games, which can be regarded as Jianmen University's 3 consecutive wins. The current score is 28-42, and Jianmen University is leading." As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar in the gymnasium. There were many discussions, and many people even thought there was a shady deal. Xianyu coughed lightly. At this time, the host's on-the-spot response was tested. She had to control the rhythm. The leader of Xichen Polytechnic University did not tell me any reason for giving up the solo game. However, I have carefully studied the information of the two teams and can probably analyze some reasons. Please listen patiently. Zhejiang Polytechnic is a very distinctive team, and the strength of the players is very uneven. There are currently 3 hero classes in the team. There is a slip of the tongue here, and the strongest among them is undoubtedly Steelheart. Through the duel with Border Town Wanderer, he has proved that he has the strength of a top player. Next is Blood Spider, an agile hero who can fight in close combat or at a distance, and is also a good duel player. These 2 players won the first 2 games. But the remaining 3 players, the hero class Zhuanpin player is not very suitable for single combat, and the other 2 are not outstanding, ordinary-faced man. If they continue to play solo games, Zilligang will have to win 2 more games in the remaining 3 games to directly lock in the victory, which is almost impossible. So, Zilligang gave up the solo game in order to maintain the status of the remaining 3 teammates and to decide the outcome in the team battle. What the host said is alright, but he missed a point. Zhuanpin said with a smile, the 3 of us, under the effect of Steelheart's Blood River territory, can exert 200% of our strength. Instead of exhausting energy in a duel, it is better to stay in the team battle to enjoy the increase. Steelheart, how did you rest? Zhuanpin turned his head and looked at Bai Pu. It's okay. The Dao Qi consumed in the first battle was less than half. After resting, it has now recovered to 70%. Bai Pu opened his eyes and said, the combat effectiveness retained by the Border Town Wanderer is definitely worse than mine. Although he didn't use much professional energy, he was seriously injured. In such a short time, his sternum injury must not have healed yet. During the championship, participating players are not allowed to use props throughout the whole process, including food and medicine that restore health and professional energy. So Bai Pu is sure that the injury of the Border Town Wanderer will not heal so quickly. After all, he took a 3-way world from his move and was not cut into several pieces on the spot, which shows that he has a strong ability to save his life. The Blood Spider who had just finished the game raised his hand and said, Lan Feng's injury is not serious. My last move of high-frequency spinning stab did not cause any damage, and she triggered the sparring contract and was teleported away. Under the effect of the sparring contract, any attack that clears the opponent's health will be instantly invalidated. It's okay, kill Lan Feng first in the team battle. Bai Pu said indifferently. After discussing the tactics, everyone waited quietly for the whistle of the team battle, and then set foot on the Golden Ring Island. Another boat docked, and Border Town Wanderer, Lan Feng and other 5 people also went to the island one after another. When they appeared on the island side by side, Border Town Wanderer no longer had his previous cynicism. He was pale, covering his chest, and said nothing. Hey, isn't this Border Town Wanderer? I haven't seen you for a few days. You're like this. The ordinary-faced man said with a smile. He didn't forget how Border Town Wanderer was so venomous to the entire team of Polytechnic. Don't be proud too early. The sturdy MT Xiangwen scolded, is it interesting to taunt like this? Of course it's interesting. When Border Town Wanderer mocked us, you seemed to be there too, right? What, selective amnesia? Or a double standard dog? The second male with a plain face chimed in. The 5 people from Jianmen University stopped arguing and walked silently along the circular road on the left side of the island, while the 5 people from Zili University went to the right side of the island. The 2 sides faced each other across the saltwater lake. Let the game begin. Chapter 327 The so-called mixed learning. The loudspeaker sounded game start, resounding over the sky of the Golden Ring Island. Zhuanpin gathered energy and summoned the gate of nature at the first moment. The 2 ordinary-faced men, one on the left and one on the right, guarded Zhuanpin's flanks, ready to fight. Under the guidance of Teacher KK, they have accepted the fact that they are idiots. The so-called idiot school is a knowledge of winning the championship by lying down. How to lie down and lie comfortably is the true meaning of idiot school. The answer is that if the big brother is comfortable, the idiot will be comfortable. Like Jinxie, one of the ordinary-faced men last time, in order to show off himself, he forcibly disobeyed the decision of the big brother and added drama to himself, which seriously violated the principle of idiot school and belonged to the kind of person who can't even lie down. When you are an idiot, you have to learn to recognize your father. It is clear who is the big daddy in the team. Although Zhuanpin has a deep experience and a hidden trump card, the big daddy of Zilligang is definitely Gangsun. However, the big daddy Gangsun is an MT, with almost no shortcomings, can resist and fight, and does not need the help of 2 idiots. The second father, Blood Spider can fight both at range and in close combat, has luxurious equipment and is incredibly fast, and the first father, Steelheart, can protect him, so they are also not needed. Then we can only help the third father, Xuanpin. It just so happens that the third father is a summoner profession and needs a slacker to help him develop. As long as the third father develops, the combat power he can burst out can even surpass the second father. The two ordinary-faced men made up a jingle. The first father is inferior, the second father is equal, the third father is greatly superior, and the fourth father wins. It's a pity that there are no 4 big father level players in the team, but there are 2 slackers, otherwise it would be really stable. Carrying out the idea of protecting the father to the end, the 2 slackers loyally guarded the 2 wings and helped the third father Xuanpin eliminate interference. When necessary, they even took his place and helped the third father block bullets. There is no way. If you don't recognize the situation, the school team will send in substitutes. The pressure on the 2 is not great. After all, the first father Steelheart is standing in the front. Looking at the big father's tall body, the 2 feel very safe. As the arrow shot by Lan Feng was blocked by Bai Pu's shield, the battle officially began. Horizontal ellipsis. Gymnasium, rostrum. The host Xian Yu showed off her superb ventriloquism, her lips moving up and down, her speech speed was extremely fast. Xuanpin of Xi Polytechnic is a summoner. The longer the delay, the better it is for him. Jianmen University has taken action. Lan Feng's frost arrow was confiscated by Gangxin's shield, and the magic bullet fired by Fiku was also detonated by the crossbow arrow of Blood Spider. It is impossible to interfere with Xuanpin by relying on the ultra-long-range harassment of only 2 people. The trajectory is too long and it is easy to be intercepted. After all, Xuanpin has the protection of the whole team. We must enter a chaotic situation. Okay, Jianmen University is pressing forward collectively. No, Lan Feng was dragged over by the lasso attack. Why didn't she use her skills? Oh, sorry, it was Gangxin's lasso attack that had the special effect of mind control and had a high priority, so she couldn't use it. Lan Feng was killed instantly. Player Jinxie, who was protecting Xuanpin here, took the sanctions of player Xiangwen on behalf of Xuanpin, and Fika's Mingdong took him away. The 2 sides ended up in a 1-for-1 trade. Oh, it was a 1-for-2 trade. Steelheart opened the Blood River territory and killed the water bird player who sneaked up on him in an instant. Oh my god, a critical hit? What kind of damage is this? Border Town Wanderer activated the field skill of Storm Surge at the beginning, and did not enter the first wave of chaos. This choice is wrong, his role should not be just auxiliary. But after Lan Feng fell, he awakened, and rushed straight to Xuanpin with a flash attack. Xi Polytechnic lost another person, the ordinary-faced male number 2, he is really selfless, and he has already sacrificed 2 lives to protect Xuanpin. Steelheart threw out his shield, and the shock wave delayed the attack of Border Town Wanderer. He went to find Border Town Wanderer, but Xiangwen player held him back. Oh, he didn't hold him back, Xiangwen player's movement speed was too slow, and he could hardly move under the Blood River territory. This field-type skill is too powerful. The audience dared not breathe, holding their breath to watch the global battle on the big screen, wishing they had an extra pair of eyes to see every detail of this chaotic battle. The spellcaster Emerald of Jianmen University raised his wand and sent out a dark blessing, consuming 300 health points of Xiangwen and generating a layer of anti-control magic shield. The shield value of the magic shield is also 300 points. During the duration of the magic shield, it is immune to control effects with a priority of no more than 7 points. However, the control priority of the Blood River territory is 8 points, so the immunity failed to take effect, and only helped Xiangwen reduce 75% of the effect. Xiangwen still couldn't catch up with Bai Pu. The only thing he could do was to take a step with his short legs and rush towards Xuanpin. After all, Xuanpin's 2 bodyguards were dead. The Blood Spider cast a dragon hunting mark on Emerald, and hunched over like a female leopard looking for food. She was obviously doing the assassin's job and wanted to chop off this heroic professional spellcaster first. Bai Pu stood in front of Xuanpin. He faced the border town prodigal son alone, and he also had to take into account the Xiangwen who was rushing over. He slashed with his sword, and the strong wind was stirred. The border town prodigal son had suffered a great loss, so he didn't dare to take it head-on. He could only use the secret of dancing wind that he had just comprehended, transforming into a willow catkin dancing with the wind, and evading the strongest attack with the most gentle state. Bai Pu intended to drive him away, slashing with his sword, and the border town prodigal son was getting farther and farther away from Zhuangpan. The subsequent Xiongwen who came over made the border town prodigal son breathe a sigh of relief. Xiongwen had no other skills, but he could carry it. He put up a shield to resist Bai Pu's great sword attack. Relying on the passive ability of heavy armor expertise, even if the corner of his mouth was bleeding from the big sword, he did not flinch and stuck in his position. After the border town prodigal son recovered, he immediately activated his professional skill, Excycle Blade. The length of the sword in his hand doubled. Then he swung a science sword energy at Zhuangpan from a distance. The active effect of the Excycle Blade, Swift Wind Slash. However, a vine quickly emerged from the gate of nature, blocking the sword energy with a thick wooden vine. Elite Vine, Miss Carilla. With a swish, the vine was cut into 2 pieces. However, as a plant, Miss Carilla's health is thicker than that of an ordinary elite hero, and she does not have the conventional vital points of humanoid creatures. After she was stabbed, she made a shrill insect sound, and the 2 broken vines twisted like earthworms, and then stuck together. The huge carnivorous mouth opened and let out a demonstrative scream at the border town wanderer. Then, silver wolves poured out of the gate of nature. There were no leader-level creatures this time, but there were as many as 17 elite and enhanced elite natural partners. These natural partners can all enjoy the movement speed bonus of the Blood River territory. After Zhuangpan gave them a wild mark, the army of summoned creatures marched forward in a mighty manner and swept across the battlefield. Xiongwen was surrounded by a group of silver wolves, forming a de facto imprisonment. This kind of human flesh wall does not care whether you have a control-free magic shield or not. The border town wanderer's injuries had not healed yet. Every time he stabbed, it felt like a piece of red-hot charcoal was stuffed into his chest, and the pain was unbearable. A silver wolf pounced on him, and the border town wanderer cut it back with a knife, but Bai Pu saw the opportunity and stepped forward, lifted it up high with a 3-point world move, and then dropped it heavily. Familiar routine, familiar formula. The border town wanderer's head was almost knocked unconscious. He lay in the huge pit formed by the ground, looking at the sky with his eyes blankly, and a big sword fell on his head. The border town wanderer was defeated. Blood Spider fought one-on-one and took care of the caster Fiki. It was not that Fiki was bad, but that she gave her life-saving skills to Xiongwen. Being approached by the ferocious hunter Blood Spider, the end can be imagined. When the battle came to the last person, empty Xiongwen, in order to avoid humiliation, he also chose to surrender. Chapter 328 Letter from the Territory. Xiongwen admits defeat, and this team battle ended with the Xichen Polytechnic University team winning. With a victory in the team battle, Xichen Polytechnic University got 30 points, plus 28 points from the 2 solo matches. The total score reached 58 points. Congratulations to Xichen Polytechnic University for successfully advancing to the semifinals. Xian said loudly. The game is over, but the audience still has endless aftertastes. This game overturned their inherent judgment of strength and weakness. The specific performance is that in the player strength prediction list of the college competition, the ranking of Bian Chang Langzi dropped out of the top 5 and directly ranked 12th. It can only be said that he was beaten by Bai Pu in singles and team battles, which destroyed his value. Bai Pu made it into the top 5 and is currently ranked 3rd. The only ones ahead of Bai Pu are Fenghao and Haoshan, the Zijing twins. Bai Pu doesn't care much about the ranking of the prediction list. He knows his current combat power. Teacher KK was very excited. Advancing to the semifinals is a good result that the Xichen Polytechnic University team has never achieved since its establishment. The 2 plain-faced men, including Zhuangpan, were also very excited. Their names would definitely be recorded in the school history. That afternoon, the group went to a popular hot pot restaurant in Zijing to celebrate. This time, the boss of Steel Heart must order the food, MVP. The plain-faced man number 1 boasted. The others agreed. Bai Pu was speechless for a while. We are eating hot pot, why do we need to order food? You are not sincere. You can order the soup base. Today's hot pot is clear super spicy. It's up to you. Zhuangpan was in a very good mood and said with a smile, even if you order abnormal spicy, I won't frown. Bai Pu smiled and ordered a shabu shabu. I have to say that the atmosphere of the school team is still quite good. Or is it that when a person is strong and famous, there are no bad people around him? Bai Pu silently experienced the wonderful feeling of having teammates around him. Frankly speaking, today's game with Giantman University, the moment the border town wanderer faced Bai Pu, there was no suspense. In Bai Pu's eyes, this game was not very valuable, just better than a fight between two noobs. But this game brought Bai Pu unspeakable excitement. The feeling of being trusted and relied on by teammates was very novel. Of course, it was limited to the real world, and the game had signed a competition contract, and neither side was in danger of life. If it was a spiritual world exploration, forget it. Teammates would only make me feel constrained and dare not take risks happily. While waiting for the food, Bai Pu received a reminder message. Your territory, Scania, has paid the taxes for this quarter. Please go to the territory to collect it in time. You have obtained a special item, a letter from Mr. Olson, the practical officer. Scania territory is the noble territory that Bai Pu was awarded in the world of blood plague, distortion, because of his meritorious service in the Blood Rose War. At the beginning, Bai Pu chose in-kind taxation, that is, all kinds of in-kind wealth produced in the territory will be handed over to Bai Pu's mansion at a rate of 20%. There are spiritual food, cloth, gold and silver and other raw materials in it, most of which are sundries, and sometimes there are fine products. As for Mr. Olson, he was carefully selected by kin and assigned to Bai Pu as a practical officer. A nobleman who adheres to poverty after bankruptcy, his personal morality is impeccable, and he has a very deep attainment in the etiquette of Nordic nobles. By the way, it is precisely because Mr. Olson is too upright and selfless that he went bankrupt and fell in the trend of the Blood Ring Fortress's transformation into an empire. Bai Pu opened the letter. Dear Lord Fule, hello. The territory has collected enough taxes for this quarter, and the inventory has been completed. It is now stored in your mansion warehouse and sealed. You can come to inspect it at any time. There is a troublesome thing that is difficult to talk about. A group of bandits appeared in the Baisong silver mine in the northwest of the territory. They drove out the poor miners and killed the diligent old Bill. I really want to wipe them out, but unfortunately, according to the new order issued by the Regent Queen Mother, nobles are not allowed to keep private armies. If possible, please advise the Queen Mother to solve this problem. Leaving it alone is also an option, but the Baisong silver mine will bring you 1,200 ounces of silver sand every quarter, which is a source of income that cannot be ignored. Without it, it will be difficult for the territory to even pay the salaries of civil servants. May your sword and wisdom always be sharp. Your loyal servant Olson, February 24th. The letter is very short and ends here. It was the first time that Bai Pu received a letter from the territory's practical officer, and he was quite curious. I didn't expect that the will of the spiritual world would also play the role of a postman. Of course, the Fule family Earl emblem in Bai Pu's storage space must have played a role in receiving this letter. If there is a mess in the territory, Bai Pu will definitely take care of it. If it is left alone, the territory will soon be depressed and dilapidated. Whether it is to suppress the bandits in person or to apply for the imperial army, Bai Pu, the Lord, needs to come forward. Bai Pu has also collected information on managing the territory. Such troubles are actually opportunities. If it is solved well, the fiscal revenue of the territory will increase, and it is very likely that some fine materials will be obtained in terms of taxation, which will be profitable. Bai Pu put away the letter. The bandits have been around for a long time, so we just need to find an opportunity to wipe them out recently. He called Li Ling and asked about the acquisition of loot blue equipment. After returning from the flesh plague, the distorted world last time, Bai Pu entrusted Li Ling to use the network of connections made by Anti-Face Cream to try to acquire loot blue equipment for strengthening. Li Ling has been working on this for the past 2 months. Loot blue equipment is generally much more expensive than the standard blue equipment. Because it is produced by the spirit world, the additional attributes and skills are generally stronger than standard equipment. Even senior hero professions that do not need blue equipment can use it as auxiliary combustion equipment for strengthening equipment, and the increased success rate is twice that of forged equipment. Therefore, there is a premium for acquiring loot blue equipment, generally at least 50%, and even double it. Li Ling has already acquired 3 pieces of blue equipment, spending a total of more than 10,000 spiritual points. She was a little uneasy and asked Bai Pu if the price was too high. It's okay, it's not. Keep buying. If you need energy points, ask me. Bai Pu reassured Li Ling. Li Ling had no shortage of energy points by selling the anti-aging cream. Now she had an additional business of buying blue equipment, and she had a lot of surplus transferred to Bai Pu every month. After defeating Jianmen University, Bai Pu continued to practice on Pengliu Island. Zuzu was also curious about the effect of holy thorn imitation. Although she couldn't hold it, she could be the target of cruel admonition. She whispered to Bai Pu if he could try to beat her. Bai Pu was reluctant at first, but Zuzu was really curious, so he agreed. Chapter 329. Just now was my first time. The moon is on the top of the willows. Zhejiang University dormitory area, the single female dormitory where Blood Spider is. Have you really thought it through? Bai Pu said seriously. I've thought it through. Blood Spider muttered, I see you enjoy it every time. How can I enjoy it? Bai Pu was speechless. Doing such weird things is easy to cause misunderstandings, so he must not go to the border of Pengliu Island. Who knows how many hidden psychic cameras there are? If there is a live broadcast in the gymnasium, it will be over. Put away your equipment. Bai Pu made a request. Blood Spider did it obediently and set the top to hidden mode. Hey, turn around. Bai Pu's eyes were almost dizzy. Without the restraint of leather armor, the scale of the fat-headed ghost is even more magnificent. Fortunately there is a layer of silk shirt between them. Blood Spider turned around and slowly took off his shirt, revealing his white back. The shoulders are white and round, the skin is smooth like jade, and the slightly bulging front outline can be vaguely seen through the side ribs, like the curve of porcelain full of classical beauty. A slim waist perfectly sets off the curve of the beautiful back. To be honest, it would be a pity not to use a cupping jar on this beautiful back. Bai Pu silently calmed down, took out the holy thorn imitation, and gently lifted it up. Cruel admonition. Lam Feng, who was passing by, accidentally saw Bai Pu walk into the dormitory of the Blood Spider. For some reason, she held her breath and did not make a sound. Estimating that the two had almost finished the preliminary steps, Lan Feng quietly stuck to the wall. A wrong voice came from her ears. Stop, no more. What's wrong? Bai Pu's voice sounded. It hurts too much? I know it hurts, just bear with it. Really no more. Okay. Do you want me to apply some medicine for you? Okay. The conversation drilled into her ears, and Lan Feng's eyes widened. What's going on? Exclamation mark. It's a pity that the two of them drew the curtains. Lam Feng wished he could turn into a spiritual expert and pull open a corner of the curtain from the inside to satisfy his peeping thoughts. Somehow, Lan Feng thought of Bai Pu's handsome face and his strong masculine figure. The picture in her mind suddenly became vague. Her breathing was a little heavy. Who? Bai Pu's voice came from inside. Lam Feng was startled and quickly turned on the acceleration effect of her shoes. She rushed out like the wind, returned to her dormitory and locked the door. She panted violently, leaned against the door, and slid down with her legs weakly. Was there anyone just now? Zuzu asked curiously. Bai Pu applied first aid ointment to Zuzu and said, maybe someone passed by. There was a clear whip mark on Zuzu's back. Bai Pu's fingers were applying ointment, and every time he touched it, Zuzu's body trembled slightly. How do you feel? In addition to the pain, do you feel that your understanding has improved? Bai Pu asked. It hurts too much, I didn't taste it carefully. Zuzu was a little embarrassed. She crossed her arms to cover her chest, and the fullness overflowed from the gap between her arms. After applying the ointment, Zuzu put on her shirt again, and her equipment became visible again. She was still a little tearful, and it was obvious that the pain of cruel admonition was beyond her imagination. How did you survive? Blood Spider asked curiously. Well, I don't know. Bai Pu actually knew the reason. He had organ failure and a withered body before, and the pain he endured was not much less than the whipping of the holy whisk, imitation, and the key was that he could never see the end. But Bai Pu didn't want to play the victim. He stood up and said, if you are okay, I will leave first. Wait a minute. Blood Spider's eyes sparkled a little, and he whispered, just now it was my first time, and I may not be mentally prepared. Later. If you have time, I want to try again. Let's talk about it later. Bai Pu shook his head. He was not optimistic. Another 3 days passed, and the quarterfinals were all played. The list of the top 4 was released. It was almost the same as the outside world's prediction. Among the top 4, Zhejiang and Kainan, 2 old and famous universities, firmly occupied 2 places. The other 2 universities were Zhejiang University of Technology and Chengji University. The Chengji University team, also located in Zhejiang, is a strong school that is not inferior to Zhejiang and Kaiyuan University. It ranks second only to these two universities in China. The captain, Long Cheng, is a top 5 expert and was also the first batch of reserve voters to be recruited. There is no need to draw lots for the semifinals. When the quarterfinals were drawn, the semifinals and finals were already determined. In the semifinals, Zili University played against Kaiyuan University, and Chengji University played against Zhejiang University. Bai Pu did not watch the game. He took time to go to the territory. This was his first time to teleport through the Fule family Earl emblem, and it felt no different from the usual spiritual world teleportation. However, the area to be teleported into is fixed, which is Bai Pu's territory, Scania. Because of limited time, Bai Pu first went to the Baisong mine and recruited the group of bandits alone. The so-called bandits are actually mostly farmers who lost their land during the transformation of the Blood Ring Empire. The Nordic people are tough. Their ancestors are descendants of Viking pirates. After being instigated by a few desperate criminals, they changed their careers to become bandits and occupied the Baisong mine, the largest oil mine in Scania. In terms of strength, the bandits are basically ordinary templates, and only a few bandit leaders are elites and enhanced elites. As long as 2 fully armed Blood Ring Heavy Hammer teams come, it will be enough to wipe them out. Bai Pu personally went on the field, which was really a laser sword hitting primitive people, a dimensionality reduction attack. The huge gap in strength, coupled with Bai Pu's world-famous A-level reputation, these bandits knelt down and begged for mercy without any backbone. However, since they killed people, Bai Pu had to kill people to establish his authority. He chopped off several bandit leaders who incited the masses, and then took the remaining bandits who were recruited to see Mr. Olsen, the practical officer. Olsen complained to him that the new decree of the Regent Queen Mother made the great nobles of the entire empire at a loss. Without private armies, it would be difficult to quickly and effectively deal with the bandits and the remnants of Blood Ring monsters in the noble territories. Olsen asked Bai Pu if he could ask the Queen Mother Regent to withdraw the new order. It seems that it is no longer a secret that Bai Pu is the guest behind the scenes of the Queen Mother. Bai Pu refused Olsen. The fact that the nobles do not have private armies is actually an important part of Sweden's efforts to improve centralization. Next, Qin will issue new orders to gradually take back the rights of the nobles. However, the Scania region must be special based on Bai Pu's identity. Even if Bai Pu raises a private army, Qin will not care. But Bai Pu cannot play against Qin. Mr. Olsen, you forgot my identity. I am the Imperial Marshal and have my own personal guard. Bai Pu smiled slightly. I have informed Qin and asked her to send her personal guard to Scania. In this way, I will not have to bother you with such trivial matters in the future. As for how to inform, it is very simple. Bai Pu can just summon across the border. He also took the time to applaud Qin, but the time was tight and he was a little reluctant. Mr. Olsen was relieved. He also realized Bai Pu's identity. His every word and action had a pivotal position in Sweden, so he really couldn't express his opinion casually. It's no accident that robbers appeared in the Baisong mine. Old Bill collected some real silver sands in the mine. Lord, this may be a companion mineral. If it can be produced regularly every month in the future, we will be rich. Real silver has another name, that is the famous mithril. Chapter 330. My guards are easy to maintain. There are 8 words to describe the advantages of mithril: light as a feather, strong as a dragon scale. Mithril looks similar to silver, but it never fades. It is a favorite jewelry material for the ladies of the flesh-plagued world, second only to fine gold jewelry. However, it is too wasteful to use mithril to make ordinary ornaments. This metal has a strong affinity for magic and is an excellent base material for making high-end magic equipment. Old Bill was a miner affiliated with Bai Pu. He secretly collected about 1 ounce of mithril ore. This was also the reason why he was killed. People die for money. Old Bill refused to hand over the mithril ore and was killed by the group of robbers. After Bai Pu killed the bandit leader, the mithril ore fell into his hands. 1 ounce of mithril ore should produce less than half an ounce of mithril, about 3 or 4 grams. Mr. Olsen's ancestors were also rich. Mithril and other super precious metals are an important part of the noble's knowledge. In the future, we will do our best to mine and see how much we can mine each quarter. Bai Pu is concerned about the output. Mithril ore is just a byproduct of silver mining, so its output is not destined to be too high. Even if you mine with all your strength, You can only produce 3 to 5 ounces of ore each quarter, which can be smelted into 1/10 of a mithril ingot, which is about 10 grams. Mr. Olson calculated in his mind and gave the answer 10 grams is not too little, mainly because mithril is too light and does not take up much weight. In the world of the flesh plague, the price of mithril is more than 30 times that of gold. In the precious metal sales list of the spirit world will, the price of 100 grams of gold is about 3,000 energy points, while the price of 100 grams of mithril is 100,000 energy points. The key is the scarcity, which cannot be bought with energy points. The spirit world will allows awakened people to sell precious metals in exchange for energy points, but does not provide energy point exchange for precious metals. Only some special channels will provide such services, such as camp merit exchange, or honor value exchange at the military rank counter. Bai Pu solved a group of robbers, and he earned 10,000 energy points every quarter, which was of course very comfortable. He looked at Mr. Olson as if he was looking at a god of wealth. It would be nice if Mr. Olson often encountered similar troubles. This is not a trouble at all, but an opportunity to make money. Mr. Olson was still worried. He was worried that the arrival of Bai Pu's guards would occupy the financial expenditure of the territory. At present, Scania territory has a lot of work to do and is in a tight financial situation. Bai Pu comforted him, "Don't worry, my guards are easy to support." Bai Pu stayed in the territory for a day and waited for the guards to arrive. When the warship carrying the guards arrived in Scania, Mr. Olson understood why Bai Pu said that the guards were easy to support. The captain of the guards was a tall and thin man with deep eye sockets. His original identity was the notorious Blood Ring General, Goodwin, known as the Cutthroat. Cutthroat Goodwin, as famous as Bloodhand Colin, Guillotine Swain and Wolf-Fang Ralph, is a general directly under the command of the Blood Ring Emperor Gustav. However, the other three were already dead, leaving only Goodwin. At this time, Goodwin was no longer controlled by the Blood Ring Emperor's curse. After Bai Pu removed the original curse on him, Yu Qin carved a new curse again. In front of Bai Pu, the mother of the blood and flesh plague, Goodwin was very honest and had a natural awe. Goodwin and his heavy armored guards don't need salary. They can survive by relying on the blood and flesh food produced by the blood and flesh factory. Bai Pu said to Mr. Olson, "There are still several blood and flesh factories in the Scania territory, which are all relics of the Blood Ring Fortress period and are now in a semi-abandoned state. These blood and flesh factories are the crystallization of the wisdom of blood and flesh alchemy. They use food and plant fibers to make artificial blood and flesh to supply the army of deformers." Mr. Olson breathed a sigh of relief, and then had new troubles. These brutal deformers cannot always be fed with artificial blood and flesh. The desire to kill in their hearts will gradually accumulate until it is uncontrollable. In the past, the Blood Ring Empire launched wars of aggression to satisfy their bloodlust. Now that the Swedish Empire is shrinking, it is impossible to launch wars in the short term. How can the bloodlust of the aberrants be satisfied? After hearing his concerns, Bai Pu just smiled and said, "Don't worry. There are mithril mines in the territory. How can such news not make people jealous? Those bandits are just the first wave of probing." In Sweden, other nobles were intimidated by Bai Pu's power and status and dared not offend. But don't forget that there is another country in Scandinavia, the Norwegians with Viking pirate blood in their bones. After giving the order to the cutthroat Goodwin, Bai Pu left the flesh plague world. However, when he left, Bai Pu actually appeared in the clearance settlement interface again. This clearance settlement was relatively simple, probably because Bai Pu did not trigger and complete the main task, did not get the psychic point reward, and the popularity was slightly improved, and no new title appeared. But Bai Pu was already very happy. This means that Bai Pu can often strengthen his equipment and use the authority of military rank purchase. The Earl emblem of the Fule family will give Bai Pu 3 days of residence time in the flesh plague world every month. Every time Bai Pu uses the emblem and enters the flesh plague world, even if the stay time is short, 1 day will be deducted. This means that Bai Pu can have up to 3 opportunities to strengthen his equipment and purchase military supplies in a month. Bai Pu couldn't help but sigh that it was really convenient to have a territory and be able to enter and exit the spirit world at any time. This time, Bai Pu strengthened the imitation holy thorn. Last time he came out of the world of original sin, he didn't consider strengthening the holy thorn, because this thing was used to whip himself. If the attack power was strengthened to a higher level, wouldn't it be asking for trouble? But after using it more, Bai Pu also found that the attack power of the holy thorn, imitation, actually had little effect and would not increase the pain. So Bai Pu was more interested. What special effects would this training equipment have if it was strengthened to +4? Bai Pu spent a total of 10,000 spiritual energy points, passed the +4 barrier smoothly, and got the +4 holy thorn, imitation. The attack power increased from 1428 to 2041, but that's not the point. The point is that, cruel discipline, has an extra special effect. Spiritual discipline. When cruel discipline is activated, whipping will no longer cause physical scars, but will instead cause a spiritual life loss effect. When you stop activating cruel discipline, the spiritual life value will recover at a faster rate. Warning, once the spiritual life loss effect exceeds your physical limit, it will be reflected in reality, and the disciplined person will die. At this time, the appearance of the holy thorn, imitation, has also changed slightly. The stick body has become round, and the thorn spikes on it have also become rounded particles. Spiritual discipline is a bit like the suffering ceremony presided over by Bishop Aquino. They are all suffering in the spiritual world, and if they can't hold on, they will be reflected in reality. Bai Pu said to himself. This is also good, so you don't have to make your body bloody every time, which looks so scary. And the spiritual world's life value recovery speed is faster, which means Bai Pu can use it more frequently. Bai Pu left the settlement interface with satisfaction. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331. I hope you are not just famous for nothing. The semifinals came as scheduled over the weekend. Saturday was the match between Zhejiang University and Chengji University. Bai Pu and his teammates went to watch the match. It was said that the main force of Zhejiang University was seriously injured in the exploration of the world of original sin. Captain Feng Hao has been recuperating in seclusion, and what is more serious is Xiangxing Wansun, who is said to have found spiritual objects in the soul to heal his wounds. In this match with Chengji University, Feng Hao and Xiangxing did not play in the singles. But this did not affect Zhejiang University's victory in the game. Chen Jie and Wenren each won a singles victory. During the team battle, Long Cheng of Chengji University was unable to defeat Four Hands with 2 fists, and was restricted by Wenren, and then killed by a wooden spear shot by Chen Jie's ultimate skill, Wild Growth. As for the others, they were killed one by Feng Hao, without any resistance. Zhejiang University advanced to the finals. Their opponent is the winner between Kainan University and Zhejiang. It looks like Feng Hao has recovered quite well. The first plain-faced man was worried. This guy was already very strong last year, and he's even more terrifying this year. If we fight them, don't think too far ahead, let's get through Kainan University first. Zuanpin said. Boss Zuanpin, you seem to have said that you have a hidden trump card. What is it? The second plain-faced man asked. This is a secret for now. Zuanpin said with a smile. Last time when Zuzu joined the team, I had a match with her, and she knows it. Unfortunately, I can't use this card often, because it takes too long to charge, otherwise we would have a better chance. Zuzu nodded slightly, obviously recognizing Zuanpin's hidden trump card. At 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, the battle between Zai Polytechnic and Kainan University began. As usual, it was the trash talk before the game. This time, the two plain-faced men were more relaxed. As the saying goes, no matter how strong he is, my big daddy will take care of me. No matter how arrogant he is, my big daddy will help me win. No matter how cruel he is, I will naturally have my 2 dads to support me. The first male with a plain face, Jingzai, said carelessly, with the configuration of our team, it's not too much to win a championship. The shooter Chonggyang on the opposite side taunted him, I've never seen anyone cling to others so skillfully. A strong team, it does not mean you are strong. The second male with a plain face was not angry at all, and said with a smile, I am arrogant because my teammates are strong. Anyway, I can win in the end. Are you angry? The spellcaster Lan Ling, with a silver mask on his face, shook his head slightly and said with a smile, the game hasn't started yet. Are you so sure that you can win? Be careful not to get slapped in the face if you lose. The tall and agile assassin Jin Shu interjected, no matter how strong Steelheart is, he is only one person. The game is for 5 people. Don't be happy too soon. In such occasions, Blood Spider never said much. Her whole face was hidden in the mask of the Führer. Only a short and cold voice was heard: the truth will be revealed on the court. As a female awakener, Kaiyuan University's Deputy General Loi was much more generous. She stared at Bai Pu and said with a smile, "Gangson, I watched your game. You are really strong. After the game, can you sign an autograph for me?" Bai Pu was slightly startled. At this time, there were already booing sounds from the stands. The game hasn't even started yet, and the Deputy General of Kaiyuan University is going to surrender to the enemy? Bai Pu frowned slightly. Loi's words completely disrupted Zilligong's tactics. That's right, the tactics discussed by Zilligong this time are the same, and Bai Pu will challenge Haoshin again. This time, the whole team is cooperating with Bai Pu. At the beginning, the two ordinary-faced men boasted about their teammates' strength, which was actually laying the groundwork to rouse the opponent's resentment and arouse opposition. When Bai Pu opened his mouth, the opponent's resentment reached its peak. If Bai Pu challenged again, Haoshin would probably be in a difficult situation. However, Kaiyuan University has never been dissatisfied or resentful against Bai Pu since the first person. At most, they just mocked the two ordinary-faced men for hugging thighs. When he got to Liu, he openly admitted that Bai Pu was very strong and even asked for an autograph. In this way, Haoshin's rejection of Bai Pu's challenge would not be so abrupt, although it would also lose some face. These thoughts flashed through Bai Pu's mind, but the arrow was on the string and it had to be shot. After all, it was a tactic that everyone discussed together. "Haoshin, I will be the first to appear. I want to know the value of the so-called Zijin twins. I watched Feng Hero's game yesterday, and it was just so-so. I hope you are not in vain." Several teammates looked at Bai Pu in surprise. Among the lines that were prepared in advance, there was no diss Feng Hero. "Fuck, Daddy is so fierce that he even arranged the tactics for the next game." The two idiots thought secretly. Bai Pu is actually not such a flamboyant character. This sentence is more suitable for the border town prodigal son. He just spent a lot of effort to simulate the most annoying trash talk in order to rouse Haoshin's desire to win to the greatest extent. If the border town wanderer was here, he would probably say the same thing. Bai Pu thought silently. The camera was on Haoshin. Haoshin had a calm face and a graceful demeanor. Facing Bai Pu's provocation, he frowned slightly and said, "Gangson, you are a newcomer. I didn't want to argue with you, but since you're so aggressive, it seems that I can only be serious. See you on the field." Wow. There was an uproar in the stands. Fuck, is this so exciting? The first game is another king versus king. This is a showdown between the strongest MTs. It's more interesting than the last time. This time there is no professional characteristic restraint. Haoshin is also an MT, and the MT ranked first in the prediction list. Even Bai Pu, after defeating the border town wanderer and showing his strong dominance, can only be ranked second MT. The two teams walked along the player channel, passed through the underground passage, and entered the border of Pengliu Island. The two ordinary-faced men in the Xi'an Polytechnic team were very happy, and they wanted to write the word done on their faces. In their opinion, this time it was a sure win. Bai Pu walked at the back, frowning. Blood Spider was beside him and whispered, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I just felt a little weird." Bai Pu shook his head and then looked at the Kaiyuan University team on the other side of the passage. Haoshin, who was walking in the middle of the team, was still graceful and calm. "What's weird about it? Boss, you're not mocking Haoshin himself, you're even scolding Feng Hero, who is as famous as him. Anyone would want to challenge you." The second male with a plain face turned around and said with a smile, "I hope so." Bai Pu had no better idea. Before Teacher KK went to submit the list, Bai Pu suddenly stopped her. "Adjust the list again." Teacher KK was puzzled. "Adjust the ones at the back? Is that necessary? Anyway, you won't suffer any loss, so be prepared for both situations," Bai Pu said. Chapter 332, If you mess with your sister, return your money. Gymnasium, Rostrum. The host Xianai looked at the battle list in some surprise. She confirmed with the leader teacher of Kaiyuan University, "Is there really no mistake in this list?" "I am sure, please announce it." The leader teacher of Kaiyuan University pushed his glasses, the lens reflected the light, like a sharp look. Xianai nodded and said loudly, "In the first match of the solo competition, the player sent by Zilligong is Gangson, and the player sent by Kainan University is Chonggang. Ah. Is it wrong? The stands were silent at first, and then whispers gradually sounded. A petite girl wearing headphones said in disbelief, "No way, Haoshin actually avoided the battle. He avoided the battle after accepting Gangsen's challenge." This is too. Although some people defended Haoshin, saying that all is fair in war, team spirit, and the winner is justice. But the defense of this small group of people could not stop the surging voices. The fun people wanted to see was gone. Dissatisfied emotions gathered into a turbulent tide, and waves of voices denouncing Haoshin echoed in the gymnasium. If you mess with your sister, return your money. This is Haoshin. As famous as Fenghe, one of the two best in Zhejiang. Being bullied by a newcomer, and even dragging out Fenghe, the soul of the Zhejiang University team, to this. The audience didn't say anything, but they were all holding their breath in their hearts. They wanted to see Haoshin teach this arrogant newcomer a lesson. But Haoshin actually gave in. Haoshin chose the most stable play, letting an inferior horse fight with Gangsen, strategically giving up one game. In the following 4 games, he sent out targeted elite soldiers and generals, and won 4 cities in a row. In this way, he can directly accumulate 56 points, and the winner will be decided directly in the solo match. That's what you say, but Haoshin has already agreed to a one-on-one duel, but he still avoided fighting, and his reputation has been ruined. Even if he wins the game, he will not get my approval. The first MT of this championship will always be Gangsen. Looking at the surging waves, the leader of Kainan University coughed and asked for a microphone. Let me explain to everyone, Haoshin never agreed to a one-on-one solo with Gangsen from beginning to end, nor did he say that he would be the first to go on the field. You can review the pre-match communication session. If Haoshin said something similar, our Kainan University would admit defeat on the spot. There is video evidence of the trash talk before the game. Pengliu Island, Crescent Island. When the players of Zhejiang heard the candidates for the first match, they almost cursed. We were misled by Haoshin's words. He said we have to be serious. See you on the field. It can also be a team match. He didn't say that he would play one-on-one with Gangsen. Zuanpin said. Fuck, this is too sinister. A man with a normal face said angrily. Bai Pu sighed, it's my fault. I should have considered that he is a flexible person in the world of original sin. He is the only one who has completed the recruitment mission besides me. But the behavior in the spirit world cannot be used as the basis for real behavior. For example, Bai Pu is a social phobic, social terrorist, in the spirit world, but when he returns to reality, he just wants to rest and not deal with people. Don't take all the mistakes on yourself. Zuzu was quite confident, we only need to win 2 solo games to enter the team battle. You win one first, and leave the other victory to me. With Zuzu's social phobia, it is not easy to say such words. But Bai Pu shook his head slightly. He wanted to say something else, but the referee on the field had already urged the contestants of the first match to enter the field as soon as possible. Bai Pu could only step onto Crescent Island. Kainan University's exchange tactics were carried out thoroughly. Archer Chonggang harassed Bai Pu with a few arrows from a distance. After Bai Pu pulled him over with a lasso attack, Chonggang admitted defeat and disappeared without waiting for Bai Pu to perform a combo. In the first match, Zili University, Gangsen won. The referee on the field received the communication from the outside world and said in a deep voice, the contestants of the second match are ready. Zili University, Blood Spider. Kainan University, Haoshin. Fuck. The first male with a plain face was shocked, and then panicked. It was bad news that Gangsen, the big daddy, didn't fight Haoshin. The second daddy, Blood Spider, was caught by Haoshin. It was simply adding insult to injury. How did the opponent know that we would send Blood Spider to the stage in the second match? The second male with a plain face said in astonishment. It should be predictable. Zuanpin, who had been silent, sighed and said, we want to ensure that we win 2 games in the solo match first, and give up the last 3 games, so that we can directly enter the team battle. Generally speaking, the earlier the players appear in the solo match, the weaker they are. Zuzu can catch a weaker player when he appears second, ensuring a victory. I think Kainan University's tactics are based on this insight. The 5 players in the solo match, according to the order of appearance, are the Vanguard, the second Vanguard, the Backbone, the Deputy General and the Main General. the strength of the vanguard and the second vanguard is generally not as good as the deputy general and the main general, except for Bai Pu, who does not play by the rules. I didn't lose again, Zuzu said silently in her heart and boarded the crescent island. When she met Bai Pu head-on, she mustered up her courage and made a scissors hand gesture. Unexpectedly, Bai Pu said softly, "Don't force it, admit defeat when you should, and retain your strength. There may be opportunities for team battles." Zuzu was a little confused, looking at Bai Pu's back leaving the island, pursing her lips tightly. Horizontal ellipsis. Blood Spider, I suggest you give up. The two stood across the inner bay of Crescent Island, and Haoshin laughed loudly, looking like he was sure of victory. Humph. Blood Spider didn't have much to say to someone she didn't know well, and could only express her dissatisfaction with a cold snort. I have gained so much from this trip to the world of original sin that you can't imagine. Haoshin directly showed one of his skills to Blood Spider. This kind of personal display will not be captured by the psychic live broadcast device. Blessing of the Lord of Winter, increase HP by 500 points, gain 10 points of fixed physical damage reduction and 50 points of frost resistance. Your understanding of the secrets of ice and snow is increased by 10 points. Thanks to the blessing of the Lord of Winter, your freezing secret has an additional effect, mind freezing, which slows down your opponent's thinking and reduces their reflexes. At the same time, Haoshin also showed another skill to Blood Spider. Ultra Ice Heavy Armor, professional secret skill. Release cold air to form a large-scale ice and snow field. Falling snow slows down all enemies in the field, and hail causes frost damage to those hit. The caster's body surface will be protected by a layer of heavy ice armor, and any attack will not be able to cause damage to it before breaking the heavy ice armor. This is the skill of the official elect. The Blood Spider was shocked. He didn't expect Haoshin to become the official elect of the Lord of Winter. Haoshin did this not to show off superficially, but after careful consideration. He was worried about the special auction held in half a month. The auction was for the holy weapon. The envoy of God could not come to reality, so he could only let Haoshin, the agent, buy it. Considering the special relationship between Steelheart and Blood Spider, the two said, no, Haoshin now wants to win the game, but he doesn't want to offend Steelheart to death. It would be best if he could win without fighting. It would also be great if he could win without breaking up. Of course, for Haoshin, winning the championship is still the most important thing. Even if he didn't buy the holy weapon at the auction, the loss was not him, but the envoy of God. The envoy of God did not set a requirement for him to buy the holy weapon, and Haoshin had already become a voter, which was considered a job transfer to a formal employee. The envoy of God would not deprive a formal voter of his qualifications for no reason, just like the Education Bureau would not casually fire a regular teacher. Chapter 333 Why do you have to struggle anymore? However, Haoshin still didn't understand how much Blood Spider wanted to win this battle. It was impossible to make her admit defeat directly. After the whistle sounded, Blood Spider directly put a layer of dragon hunting mark on Haoshin, turned around and hid behind a reef, and shot arrows continuously. Her shooting accuracy was very high, and Haoshin, as an MT, did not move very fast, so the hit rate was quite impressive, and Haoshin could hardly dodge. But Haoshin didn't need to hide, he activated the extreme ice heavy armor on the spot. At the same time, in order to save the consumption of fighting spirit, Haoshin took the initiative to cancel the 4th level special effect of the extreme ice heavy armor, ice and snow field, and only wrapped the body with solid ice. The Blood Spider's arrows shot on the extreme ice heavy armor, leaving only a series of white scratches. And with Haoshin's energy replenishment, these white scratches quickly disappeared. Haoshin stepped on the bay of the inner circle of Crescent Island and strode towards the Blood Spider. The freezing secret exerted its power. Every time Haoshin took a step, a layer of floating ice formed on the seawater under his feet, steadily supporting him to move forward. This undoubtedly disrupted Blood Spider's kite tactics. She originally wanted to use her high agility to fight and run at the same time, exhausting Haoshin's fighting spirit energy, and then seek a chance to win. But now Haoshin is in the inner circle of Crescent Island, and Blood Spider can only move in the outer circle. How much more distance can she run than Haoshin? Haoshin approached Blood Spider step by step. When she was within the range of the charge skill, an ice road suddenly extended under Haoshin's feet, pointing directly at Blood Spider. The ice road touched Blood Spider, first adding a layer of cold slowing state to Blood Spider. Then Haoshin slid along the ice road at high speed, directly hit Blood Spider, knocked it back slightly and stunned it. Blood Spider was hit by Haoshin's sword, and its health dropped a bit. After a short dizziness, Blood Spider retreated directly, turned on the melee mode, holding the Blood Predator set dagger in both hands, and ran around Haoshin quickly, and the two knives kept leaving scratches on Haoshin's body. The speed of Blood Spider was so fast that it felt like it was difficult to capture with a camera, so it could only switch to a long-range camera. With the blessing of the dragon hunting mark, the Blood Spider's speed increased to more than 120 points, which is comparable to that of an intermediate agile lord. It must be said that the additional 50 points of fixed damage bonus of the dragon hunting mark is still very threatening. Haoshin felt that the durability of the extreme ice-heavy armor on his body was rapidly decreasing, and he had to consume more glacial fighting spirit to maintain it. Haoshin's response was also very simple. He directly activated a level 4 special effect of the extreme ice-heavy armor, Ice and Snow Field. The Ice and Snow Field covered a small area, and the Blood Spider immediately fell into a state of slowing down the falling snow, and had to withstand the regular hail attacks. The Blood Spider's speed was greatly reduced, and Haoshin could already keep up. He waved his sword to parry and held up his shield to block, allowing the Blood Spider to attack from time to time, and each move could accurately block the attack path. The battle between the two entered a stalemate, but Haoshin was clearly in the upper hand. The Blood Spider could not cause effective damage to him, but his Ice and Snow Field was constantly eroding the Blood Spider's health. In the fierce battle, Haoshin even had time to speak. Blood Spider, with your strength as a newcomer, you have performed very well. After a year of accumulation, you will definitely have a place in next year's championship. Why bother to hold on in front of an unbeatable opponent? If my guess is correct, your next deployment should be the same as the quarterfinals, with 2 enhanced elites as the backbone and deputy generals, and the last summoner Zuanpin as the main general. Your original idea was that as long as you win the first and second games, it will be enough. The order of the other 3 games was not deliberately adjusted. But now, it gives us the opportunity to target and defeat them one by one. The strength of the 2 enhanced elites is very average. We will send Lanling and Jinshu respectively, which is enough to win. As for the last Zuanpin, out of respect for the level 6 hero profession, we sent Luoyu, the deputy general who restrains the summoning system the most. We are sure to win this game. Why do you have to struggle? Haoshin wasted his breath, actually for 2 reasons. First, he didn't want to offend Blood Spider too much, or to be more precise, he didn't want to offend Bai Pu too much. Secondly, he didn't want to consume too much energy, nor did he want to use too many skills. Therefore, it was the best result to attack the Blood Spider from a spiritual level and let her retreat. You said you were sure to win. A cold light suddenly flashed in the Blood Spider's eyes. She turned around and suddenly flashed to the right side of Haoshin, where the shield was least likely to block, and slashed with 2 cross swords. It's useless. Haoshin was suddenly attacked and had no time to parry, but he was confident in his defense. The extremely cold heavy armor on his body was enough to absorb the damage of this attack. Swish! The extremely cold heavy armor on the right side of Haoshin suddenly disappeared. A cross-shaped wound appeared on his waist, and blood splattered. When Haoshin was in pain, the Blood Spider continued to perform high-frequency gyrations and stabbing. The high-speed rotating blade, like an alloy drill, drilled into the right side of Haoshin's waist. This was a successful sneak attack. The space-cutting secret that the Blood Spider had been hiding for a long time caused Haoshin to suffer a big loss. But Haoshin is an MT after all, and his endurance is extremely high. The Blood Spider's attack hit his waist, and he felt a strong push and rebound force, as if every inch of Haoshin's muscle fiber had a tough elasticity, making it difficult for the dagger to penetrate. Haoshin turned around, backhanded his shield and slapped the Blood Spider away. Good, good. Space-related secrets? It really has something, no wonder you refuse to admit defeat. After the attack was interrupted, the extremely heavy ice armor that disappeared from Haoshin's waist reappeared. This is the peculiar effect of the space-cutting secret. When it is activated, the Blood Spider cuts the extremely heavy ice armor on Haoshin's waist and places it into the subspace. For a short period of time, Haoshin's waist is defenseless. But once the attack is interrupted, the power of the space-cutting secret disappears, and Haoshin's waist heavy armor will return. This is different from the shield breaking of the mountain collapse secret. Haoshin's face was gloomy, staring at the blood spider and said, "It seems that you will not give up unless I show my true strength." Behind Haoshin's head, thin ice ridges condensed and gradually turned into sharp ice knives. Secret skills, ice wheel dance. With the sound of breaking through the air, ice knives shot towards the blood spider from different directions, combining into a powerful ice wheel. The blade of the ice wheel pointed inward, cutting everything inside into pieces. The power of this move was very strong, and there was no escape. The blood spider suddenly disappeared and hid in the void. The timing she chose was also very clever, when the ice knives surrounded and spun to strangle. The ice knives were about to collide with each other. However, Haoshin raised his hand lightly and retracted the 6 ice knives, which were still suspended behind his head. "Come out, my ice wheel dance is an ultimate skill that can be maintained for 15 seconds. How long can you hide in the void?" Haoshin said lightly. Chapter 334, When facing something you don't like, successfully escaping is victory. Blood spider hid in the void for only a second before suddenly appearing behind Haoshin's head. She obviously knew that hiding in the void would not serve any purpose other than consuming her own energy, and attacking was the key to victory. Haoshin's 6 ice knives shot out again. Blood spider used the same trick again and tried to hide in the void. But at this moment, she felt as if her mind was frozen, and she was half a beat slower in performing the space-cutting secret. New special effect of freezing secret, mind freezing. The gorgeous ice blade wheel, encirclement and strangulation. For some reason, blood spider's mind flashed with the last words Bai Pu said to her. "Don't force it, admit defeat when you should, and retain your strength, and there may be opportunities for team battles." Swish. Blood spider chose to admit defeat the moment the ice knife touched her body, and turned into white light and dissipated. Outside Crescent Island, on the bow deck of the ferry. The Zai Polytechnic school team was silent. "I was tricked," Zuanpin said with a bitter smile. "Haoshin didn't intend to fight you head-on from the beginning, so he just found a low-level horse to deal with." He turned around and found the blood spider. Alice, after all, the professional characteristics restrained him, and he lost this time without any temper. The 2 ordinary-faced men were like bereaved parents. For the mixed boys, the disadvantage of the Big Daddy was more uncomfortable than their own disadvantage. The opponent should have designed for our next 3 games. I will be the 5th to appear, and I guess I will meet Liu. Zuanpin had read the information, and his eyebrows were wrinkled. Liu, the profession is spellbreaker. I have difficulty reading the bar in front of her, so I'm going to be defeated this time. No, you will appear 3rd. Bai Pu said, before leaving. I told teacher KK to change the list. Really? Zuanpin's eyes widened, and the faces of the 2 ordinary-faced men also brightened quickly. Bai Pu didn't say anything, because the referee had already announced the list of players for the 3rd match. Zuanpin from Xi'an Polytechnic University. Langling from Kaiyuan University. Please be ready. The 3rd solo match will start in 5 minutes. Fuck, he is worthy of being the Big Daddy. He actually saw through the opponent's conspiracy in advance. Little Haoshin, how ridiculous. He lost face but still couldn't win. This is the most annoying thing. The 2 ordinary-faced men sang in unison and praised. Zuanpin rubbed his hands, looking a little excited. Suddenly, Zuanpin reacted and asked, Gangson, since you think Haoshin will avoid fighting to catch the blood spider, why don't you change the order of blood spider's appearance? I'm not familiar with Haoshin. Avoiding fighting is just a possibility. Haoshin is very likely to fight. Bai Pu shook his head and said, if Haoshin fights, then there will be no problem for blood spider to appear 2nd. The opponent's 2nd striker is the weakest link. It would be best for blood spider to use the strong to attack the weak and steadily win the first 2 singles. It doesn't have to expose her full strength, and she will have an advantage in the final team battle. This was the tactic that the team had discussed in advance. Bai Pu challenged Haoshin, and blood spider won the 2nd game. Bai Pu changed the list because of an uncertain guess, and he could only make minor adjustments without violating the team's tactics, such as adjusting Zuanpin to the 3rd place. According to the team's tactics, it doesn't matter who appears 3rd, as long as the first 2 games can be won and the team battle can be started directly. If Bai Pu adjusted the order of blood spider's appearance at that time, it would be equivalent to overturning the team's predetermined tactics. Not only did he have to convince teacher KK, he also had to notify other teammates. Bai Pu didn't want to make it so troublesome. With his personality, the team was not ruled by Bai Pu alone. Well, okay. Actually, you can be more assertive. I don't mind. Zuanpin stood up and stretched his body. Then leave this game to me. It's time to show you how strong a Beast King Druid who has accumulated natural power for 3 months is. While speaking, a necklace surrounded by green vines on Zuanpin's neck was glowing slightly. At this time, there was also a slight commotion on the ferry of the 5 main players of Kaiyan University. Why is Zuanpin the third one to play? Should he be the main general? Archer Chongyang said puzzledly. It seems that Zai University of Science and Technology has also realized something and slightly adjusted the appearance list. Loy said. No, in the list we submitted, Loy, who is the most restrained against summoning professions, was arranged as the main general. Assassin Kaianshu frowned and said, our third game is Lanling. Mirage warlocks are not easy to interrupt the casting of summoning professions. Lanling, wearing a silver mask, said with some dissatisfaction, hey, don't look down on me too much, okay? Although my abilities are mainly based on illusion and clone, I still have no problem fighting a beast druid. Okay, it depends on your performance. As long as you can deal with that druid, the other 2 enhanced elite professions will not be a problem at all. We can directly lock into victory. Chongyang said. Don't be stressed. It doesn't matter if you lose. We will win in a team fight. Loy comforted Lanling. Lanling boarded Crescent Island with a lot of anger. Blood Spider jumped onto the ferry and shrank directly into the cabin and didn't come out. She was too embarrassed. After all, she boasted before the battle that she would bring a victory to the team, but now she lost. Although no one would blame her, and losing to Haoshin was not shameful, she just felt that it was difficult to face Bai Pu. The 2 ordinary-faced men signaled Bai Pu to persuade him. Bai Pu thought for a moment and walked into the cabin. I am partly responsible for Haoshin's arrest this time. Bai Pu sighed and explained why he had slightly adjusted the list, but did not adjust her appearance list. Blood Spider listened quietly and suddenly said, how sure were you at that time that Haoshin would not confront you head-on? About 70%. In fact, I have thought about Haoshin's behavior. If he is a native of the spirit world, my confidence can reach 100%. Bai Pu said honestly, the behavior of the natives of the spirit world is easier to judge, and there is also the increase or decrease of favorability as an auxiliary basis. But Haoshin is an awakener, and there is some uncertainty in his behavior. 70% sure, can't you take a gamble? Blood Spider said. Bai Pu was silent. Blood Spider understood Bai Pu very well and said, I understand. You are afraid. You don't want to take the responsibility of leadership, you are avoiding it. She added, I am like this a lot of the time. Sometimes I feel that exploring the spirit world makes me feel more comfortable than reality. You are right. Bai Pu faced his own shortcomings. In fact, I think there's nothing wrong with avoiding it. Don't force yourself to do things you don't like. When facing things you don't like, successfully avoiding them is victory. Also, I want to try your dick again. This time I feel ready. Blood Spider whispered. Didn't you say not to force yourself to do things you don't like? I didn't say I don't like it. Blood Spider's cheeks flushed slightly. Chapter 335, Unfortunately, you met me. The atmosphere became ambiguous, and Bai Pu felt that he couldn't continue to flirt. He coughed and said, Senior Zuanpin's game should have started. Let's go and have a look. Blood Spider nodded, lowered her head, and followed Bai Pu out of the cabin like a newly married young wife. At this time on Crescent Island, the battle between Zuanpin and Lanling had already begun. Zuanpin tore off the green vine necklace from her neck. Natural Power Necklace is the professional equipment Zuanpin obtained on the outskirts of the Dream Forest. In addition to the basic attributes, this necklace has only one additional skill. Natural Crystal, passive. This necklace will continuously absorb the natural energy dissipated by the wearer to form spiritual power crystals. Taking off the necklace actively will consume all crystals and immediately summon the same number of natural partners. The number of crystals accumulated so far: 3, including 1/3 order crystal and 2 second order crystals. The necklace taken off by Zuanpin has a large and 2 small ones, a total of 3 crystals floating up. The 3 crystals gave off powerful natural energy, and after landing, they turned into 3 portals, and then 3 creatures walked out from them one after another. The poisonous vines, Ms. Gorilla. The one-eyed wolf, Mr. Derek. The half-human, half-deer tree demon, Ms. Alindra. The summoning was completed instantly, and Xuanpin did not consume any energy during the process. Of course, he still needed to continue to consume natural energy to maintain the existence of these three summoned creatures. Xuanpin then raised his hand to cast a spell, condensing natural energy and summoning the natural gate. The vortex-shaped light gate slowly condensed. Seeing this scene, Lanling's eyes twitched under his silver mask. Damn it, why do I always encounter opponents with strange and weird ultimate moves, and they still use ultimate moves when they meet me? Lanling sighed helplessly. His profession is Mirage Warlock, and his main fighting methods are illusion and clone. The advantage of this profession is that it has a good ability to save life, and there is no need to distract yourself to practice shield and displacement skills. All combat skills can choose attack spells. This is also the reason why he is confident in interrupting Xuanpin's summoning process. However, now Xuanpin uses the accumulated natural energy to summon 3 natural partners, including a leader-level partner. It's like playing chess, but the opponent has a pair of chariots. How can you play? Lanling can only fight a summoner in the strongest state. He dodged the tree demon spear and activated the mirage clone at the same time. 4 identical blue spirit clones appeared at the same time. This guy has improved too. Seeing that there is one more blue spirit clone than in the group stage, Xuanpin couldn't help but sigh. Including the blue spirit body, there are a total of 5 blue spirits, all maintaining the same action, that is, reading the spell and chanting the basic magic, fire bullet. Whoosh 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 whoosh. 5 flame trajectories are shot out at the same time. These 5 fire bullets are all real spells. However, the attributes of Lanling's Mirage clone are only equivalent to 35% of the body. The power of the firebomb will naturally drop significantly, only about half of the power of the original body. But this is already a very remarkable clone-type skill. On the one hand, it can interfere with the opponent's judgment, and on the other hand, it can also increase the overall power of the attack. 4 clones are equivalent to increasing the power of Lanling's spells by 140%. Firebombs are Lanling's best solution at present, because the opponent has a long-range spear-throwing leader. If you cast those powerful spells, the reading time is too long, and it is easy to be interrupted by the opponent one by one. Xuanpin summoned natural partners, among which the poisonous vine Mizcarilla is mainly defensive, protecting Xuanpin in the center. Mizcarilla's physical defense is very strong, but weak to fire. If this elite vine dares to help Xuanpin block the knife, Lanling is very confident that his 5 firebombs' continuous firing tactics will definitely be able to severely damage it, and the subsequent burning damage will be enough to kill it. Facing the surging firebombs, Xuanpin was not moved at all. The tree demon Miss Alindra took a step forward, and a ring of emerald natural energy on her body's surface surged and spread. The 5 firebombs were like candles in the wind, and 4 of them dimmed in an instant. Only the last one was left, which hit Miss Alindra, but it only left a little bit of charred marks on her body covered with green leaves. Natural resistance. The tree demons are the darlings of the forest, the spirits of nature, and are born with strong elemental resistance. They can also actively ask for the help of the forest mother, activate the active effect of natural resistance, generate energy rings that resist elemental magic, and greatly weaken the magical energy that attacks. Xuanpin is also very lucky. In the Dream Forest, there are several leader-level natural partners who are willing to respond to his call, but when it comes to fighting spells, the tree demon Miss Alindra is the first. Miss Alindra is positioned as a long-range shooter. Under the protection of the Forest Mother, she will automatically generate a wooden javelin of the most suitable length and size in her hand. Lanling's spell just now also exposed the position of the main body. Miss Alindra threw out a lightning-fast spear. This was obviously another attack skill. A clone blocked in front and took the blow hard. It instantly turned into fragile glass and dissipated with a light sound. Lanling had no choice but to cast a large-scale mirage, forming a mirage-like illusion in the field. He and the remaining 3 clones scattered and hid in the mirage mist. The mirage illusion that Lanling chose this time was a sea of flaming fire. Because it was formed by mirage, this sea of fire was not harmful at all, and no burning sensation could be felt when touched. Lanling did not want to rely on the mirage illusion to hurt people. The role of the illusion is to cover up his casting. Whoosh! There was a sound of breaking through the air, and 4 basin-sized fireballs whistled towards Xuanpin. In the blazing sea of fire, Lanling's casting movement of condensing a large fireball was well concealed. This time, the fireballs were fired from 4 different directions: front, back, left, and right. No matter how strong the tree demon was, he was only one person, and being able to block the fireballs from 2 directions was already his limit. Really amazing. Xuanpin even had time to praise him. Unfortunately, you met me. After this honest man finished praising his opponent, his next sentence seemed to be very annoying. From the gate of nature, crow spirits jumped out one after another. These crow spirits crashed into the remaining fireballs. At the same time, elite silver wolves jumped out one after another, forming an army of summoned creatures beside Xuanpin. Lanling no longer dared to show his head, so he could only disperse his clones and hide alone in the mirage, waiting for Xuanpin's energy to run out and unable to maintain the existence of the army. The one-eyed wolf, Mr. Derek, trotted all the way to the place where Lanling had just been, sniffed the ground in the east and west, and soon let out a long howl. A group of ferocious wolves, led by Mr. Derek, pounced on Lanling in the mirage. Chapter 336, Isn't it a sure win in a team fight? To be honest, Lanling's mirage has a strong ability to hide. But the sharp sense of smell of Mr. Derek, the one-eyed wolf, is the nemesis of most hiding skills. It's just that the mirage simulates a sea of flames, and the natural partners of the animal system have a natural fear of fire. In order for them to overcome their fear of fire and obey Xuanpin's instructions, they need to fully trust Xuanpin and cultivate a very high intimacy. Soon, Lanling was caught by a group of silver wolves. Under the fierce attack and constant avoidance, the mirage lost its energy support and dissipated. Lanling had no choice but to admit defeat. He felt depressed. As early as the group stage, he lost to the assassin Huanlong, who was 1 level lower than him, and he had been questioned and madly complained by the students of Kaiyuan University. Now, at the critical moment of locking the victory in advance, he lost to the unknown summoner Xuanpin again. It is estimated that he will be engraved on the scapegoat mountain of Kaiyuan University's online community for a long time. Before the game, he made bold statements, talked nonsense during the game, and remained silent after the game. After Lanling stepped down from the stage, his teammates comforted him. "Oh, it's okay. We will definitely have to fight in a team. The opponent's summoner has wasted a powerful trump card, and his professional energy has also been consumed. He can't make any waves. With Captain Haoshin here, isn't it a sure win in a team fight? The opponent will definitely drag out the game, and the 4th and 5th games will definitely be played. What we need to do now is to finish the 4th and 5th games as soon as possible, so that the opponent's summoner has no time to recover." Kaianshu and Loi patted their chests and guaranteed that there would be no problem. But the next second, the referee's notice came. Xi'an University of Science and Technology has voluntarily given up the next 2 solo games, and Kaiyuan University is considered to have won directly. The current points of the 2 teams are 28 to 42, with Kaiyuan University leading. Please prepare for the team battle in 5 minutes. The Kaiyuan University team looked at each other. 3 minutes ago, Xi'an University of Science and Technology. Everyone welcomed Xuanpin's triumphant return. "How is the consumption?" Bai Pu asked. Xuanpin said, "The battle didn't take long, and consumed about 50% of the professional energy. Then in the next 2 games, Jinxie and I will delay time so that the captain can recover." The second man with a plain face suggested. Xuanpin shook his head. "The cooling time of my natural gate is too long. Even if I delay for half an hour, it can't be restored. Without the natural gate, I can only summon natural companions one by one, and I can't summon leader level ones. It seems that there is no point in delaying time. When we rest, the opponent is also resting." Bai Pu said, "Then follow the original plan, give up the remaining 2 games, and fight directly. But the captain's strength is greatly reduced. Can we really win?" The 2 men with plain faces could not hide their pessimism. Xuanpin's multiple summons not only mean strong strength, but also strategic significance. The opponent will not let a summoner play at will, and there is offensive pressure. They must take the initiative to approach and interfere with Xuanpin's summons. But this will enter the coverage of Bai Pu's Blood River territory. Bai Pu thought for a moment and asked in a low voice, "Captain, can you mobilize natural energy and simulate the state of casting the gate of nature?" "Just pretend." Xuanpin was stunned, then nodded. "It can be fooled. As long as you are not an expert, you will definitely not be able to tell. The opponent must have Xuanpin's information and know the ultimate move of the gate of nature, but few people know how long the cooldown of this ultimate move is. If Xuanpin hadn't taken the initiative to say it, Bai Pu and other teammates would not know. The so-called expert is a profession that practices the druid path or the natural magic path. Obviously, the main 5-man team of Kyoto University does not have such a profession. Gymnasium, rostrum. During the 5-minute team battle preparation period, the host Xianyu also got the basic information of the skills cast by the players during the game, and nervously analyzed it for everyone. The game between the two teams in the solo match was very exciting. Player Haoshin avoided the strong and attacked the weak, and defeated player Zuzhu, whose personal strength was second only to Gangxin among the 3 hero professions of Zilligang, and gained a huge advantage. However, player Zhuanpin of Zilligang also revealed a powerful trump card, the professional equipment Nature's Spirit Necklace, which used the crystallization of natural power to quickly summon powerful natural partners and defeated player Lanling. But according to common sense, player Zhuanpin has not used this card much. It should be that the accumulation of natural power takes a long time, at least it can't be used in this team battle. There was a sudden burst of cheers in the stands, and on the big screen, players from both sides entered the field one after another, and the game had entered the 10-second countdown. Okay, let's take a look at the specific progress of the game. Xianyu showed off her superb ventriloquism skills again, her thin red lips flying up and down, and she quickly explained the battle situation to everyone. Zhuanpin summoned the Gate of Nature right away. This skill is really powerful. It seems to be a strategic skill with a short cooldown time. The Kyoto University team pressed forward collectively, leaving only the shooter Chongyang to contain and harass from a distance. Haoshin rushed to the front, and in front of him was Gangxin. Oh my god, is this a confrontation between domains? Crescent Island. Bai Pu and Haoshin activated their respective prototype domain skills almost at the same time. Blood River Territory versus Ice and Snowfield. The phantom of the Blood River washed over. The materialized ice and snow covered the sky and the earth. However, anyone with a discerning eye could still see that the Blood River Territory had the upper hand. The ice and snow fell into the Blood River and disappeared without a trace, without even a splash. All that can be done is to cover the Blood River phantom with a thin layer of ice to slow down the speed of washing. In terms of data, the effect of the Blood River Territory has been weakened by about 50%, while the effect of the ice and snowfield has been reduced by 75%. Haoshin's body is covered with extremely heavy ice armor and has extremely strong defense. But Bai Pu's Blood River Territory is also constantly absorbing the enemy's health and continuously forming a shield. 4 people on the opposite side are pressing up. Very good. Captain Zhuanpin, your mission is accomplished. Bai Pu suddenly soared into the air, launched the Gangfang Luoran, and rushed towards the entire Kyoto University team alone. This reckless move caused many spectators outside the venue to exclaim, "We can't let him get close." Haoshin said calmly, and an ice path suddenly slid out under his feet, extending forward and directly touching Bai Pu. He also slid at high speed and rushed towards Bai Pu. On Lanling's silver mask, a hot 9-tailed fox phantom suddenly appeared, pouting its plump lips, bow at Bai Pu, and a red heart flew out. Kyoto University's response was indeed well trained. But it was all useless. Chapter 337 Triple Kill. Haoshin rushed to Bai Pu, but the expected knockback effect did not appear. Lanling's mask skill Charming Kiss did not work either. The thick layer of blood-colored wind wrapped around Bai Pu's body was like the strongest barrier, which not only weakened the power of hostile attacks, but also confiscated the control effect of control skills. At the digital level, the level 4 special effect Body Protection Wind itself has control immunity. After the Wind Slash was upgraded to the 3-star ultimate skill, Fang Fang Falling Blade, the priority of control immunity also rose. Now, controls with a priority of no more than 8 points cannot be defended by the Body Protection Wind. After Bai Pu comprehended this ultimate skill, he only suffered a setback at the hands of the Senior Lord, Gilded One, which was a higher priority suppression. There was nothing he could do. Now facing Lanling and Haoshin, it is a dimensionality reduction attack at the priority level, just like the gap between Bai Pu and the Lord. Haoshin blocked Bai Pu in front of him, using his own body to resist Bai Pu and prevent him from rushing into the team. But Bai Pu stomped his foot heavily on the ground, suddenly moving 7 or 8 meters sideways, bypassing Haoshin's defense, and then continued to turn and rush forward in the air, directly crashing into Lanling, Jinshu and Luo Yu. Boom! Bai Pu landed, and the strong wind he brought up forced him to use 2 displacement skills. Jin Shu used Instant Step and Luo Yu used Flash, both of which belonged to the Flash type of ability and were not restricted by the Blood River territory. Lanling was in a more difficult situation. He did not practice Flash skills, only the sprint ability attached to his shoes. He was restricted by the Blood River territory and could not escape in advance. His body was numb and the whole person floated into the air. It's over, I'm going to be the first to be eliminated again. Lanling just thought of this, and suddenly saw Bai Pu's additional actions after landing. Bai Pu's chainsaw sword suddenly hit the ground. A gust of wind whistled and turned into the eye of the storm with strong suction. Qianshu, who had originally used a Flash-type displacement skill to escape, was sucked back by the eye of the storm before he could run far away because the distance was relatively close. Then Bai Pu raised his hand and used a lasso to tie up Liu, who was flashing at a long distance, and pulled her back. There were bursts of exclamations from the stands of the gymnasium. From the perspective of looking down from the big screen, it was clearer. Gangxin activated a Gangfang Falling Blade, which was immune to Lanling's charm, bypassed Haoshin's interception, and threw himself into the enemy formation. Qianshu and Luo escaped, but were forcibly pulled back one after the other, and together with Lanling, they all fell into a floating state. At the same time, Bai Pu raised his greatsword, and the blade was wrapped in a terrible blood-red energy light, full of unstable explosive power, ready to explode. The fierceness of this attack was obvious to everyone. Once Bai Pu slashed this sword, even if Lanling and the other two were not killed instantly, they would be seriously injured and their strength would be greatly reduced. At the critical moment, Haoshin made the most correct choice. When Bai Pu bypassed him, he realized what would happen if Bai Pu rushed into the middle of his fragile teammates. So Haoshin immediately activated the additional effect of the freezing secret, Mind Freeze. At the same time, the 6 ice blades on the back of his head were already condensing, preparing to use the secret skill, Ice Wheel Dance. Mind Freeze slows down the opponent's thinking. In terms of data, it means that the charging time is slightly longer and the reading time is longer. However, the shield that flew over from the air with a whistling sound interrupted Haoshin's secret skill. Spinning throw, go for broke. How is it possible? Under the secret special effect of Mind Freeze, he actually reacted so quickly. Is he a human brain or a computer? Haoshin's pupils contracted. He also knew that Mind Freeze was a control, and it would definitely be reduced by Bai Pu's high priority, but no matter what, it would not be reduced so much that Bai Pu's movements were almost not stagnant. What does this mean? Bai Pu's thinking speed is already beyond ordinary people. Mind Freeze can only bring Bai Pu back to the level of a normal player. Boom. Low artillery roared. Unstable shield bombardment, sword energy slashed out. The 3 Lanlings trapped in the eye of the storm were severely injured by the sword energy at the same time. Qianshu was seriously injured. Luo activated the shield skill to absorb some of the damage and was slightly injured. Lanling, whose health was not healthy and had no shield skills, was killed instantly. Haoshin took a deep breath and stopped looking for Bai Pu. He turned to look for Bai Pu's teammates. Haoshin was very clear-headed. Bai Pu's position at this time was out of touch with his teammates. Zuanpin must be solved first, otherwise Zuanpin will open the door of nature and summon a large number of natural partners to appear, and it will be even more difficult to fight. Haoshin rushed directly to Zuanpin. He complained again about the abnormal effect of Blood River territory, restricting sprint skills. Just now, in order to use the skill Frost Assault to intercept Bai Pu as soon as possible, Haoshin even used a precious control method to temporarily break a gap in the Blood River territory. Now, he couldn't use the charge skill again, at least not within the scope of the Blood River territory. He could only run over step by step while resisting the deceleration of the Blood River territory. However, he hadn't run a few steps when the Demon Spider Queen's alert tower shield inserted in the ground suddenly came to life. The shadow of the Demon Spider Queen's weapon speared on it screamed and shot out spider webs to capture Haoshin. Haoshin snorted angrily, and the cold current of the extreme ice-heavy armor surged, freezing the spider web wrapped in it crispy and stiff. He struggled hard, but the spider web only bound him for 2 or 3 seconds before it was broken apart and cut off inch by inch. With this delay, Bai Pu had already killed the seriously injured Jin Shu. The latter's near-death burst only barely broke the Blood River territory shield, leaving a red mark on Bai Pu's sturdy chest. Luo Yu still had the strength to fight. Although she was a female awakener, She had a high level of combat literacy and realized that Bai Pu was at a time when his skills were basically fully used and his combat power was empty. She launched a fierce counterattack, and while Qianshu was helping her break the shield, she suddenly stabbed Bai Pu's shoulder with a dagger that was glowing blue. Then a thin line of blue energy connected her and Bai Pu. To be more precise, it connected her and the dagger. Bai Pu felt as if a hole had been cut open in his body, and the blood river fighting spirit surged out. The blue light dagger actually had the property of burning blue. He glanced at the battle record and pulled out the dagger from his shoulder. This action caused blood to spurt out of Bai Pu's shoulder, and he fell into a dizzy state for 1.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds to resist. Behind Bai Pu, the phantom of the golden bull ghost struggled hard, broke the illusory chains, and relieved the dizziness. Taking advantage of the opportunity when Bai Pu was stunned and the blood river territory was temporarily interrupted, Luo Yu did a backflip, like a nimble female leopard, and once again pulled a short distance away from Bai Pu. Well, you are worthy of being Jin Yuan's deputy general. After Bai Pu recovered, the blood river territory was opened again. This process of being interrupted by a skill for a short time in re-expanding the blood river territory will not consume an additional 50 points of blood river Dao Qi as starting energy. At the same time, Bai Pu's shoulders, the iron spike shoulder guards flash blue light, and the collision started. This is the abnormality of the blood river territory. Bai Pu can fully display the displacement sprint skills, but the opponent can't. He has to withstand severe deceleration and can only watch Bai Pu get close to him. Luo Yu's profession is lawbreaker, which is the nemesis of all reading professions. She is used to using medium and long-range throwing attacks to output. She was repelled by Bai Pu at close range. When her own life-saving skills were used up, she really had no choice but to be killed directly by Bai Pu's sword wrapped in the secret of Gangfen. Triple kill. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338, Simply a Clown. The audience in the stadium stands were boiling. One person broke into the enemy camp and got 3 kills. It was a perfect display of personal heroism. How could it not make people's blood boil? Behind the stands was Feng He, who was pale, and several other main players of Zhejiang University. So cruel. The burly MT1 were inside. Lam Ling, Qianshu, are not weak, Luo is stronger. But these 3 were killed in just a dozen seconds after being approached by Gangsen. Qianshu's strength is different from ours. Chen Jie said without hesitation, their main players last year have graduated, and the ones promoted this year are only sophomores and juniors, and they still lack accumulation. We should be the strongest class this year, don't leave any regrets. Wanren looked at Feng He. Boss, you met Gangsen, can you suppress him? This kid dissed you when he was trash talking, you can't get used to it. The battle situation is not yet determined, Qianshu may not lose. Chen Jie said. Feng He, who had been silent, shook his head slightly. On Crescent Island, a few seconds before Bai Pu got the triple kill, Haoshan also rushed into the formation of Zuanping and the other 2. The ice and snow field was fully opened, and the long sword went straight to Zuanping. Zuanping suddenly dispersed the natural energy that was gathering and turned to run. The other 2 ordinary-faced men also fled one after another, without the spirit of fearless fear that they had protected Zuanping last time. Haoshan was puzzled. A big move like the Gate of Nature was dispersed just like that? The 2 ordinary-faced male bodyguards didn't come up to protect them? Haoshan immediately thought of a problem that they had discussed before the game, that is, the cooling time of the Gate of Nature. Can it be cooled down within a few minutes? Generally speaking, the cooling time of this strategic level skill is very long. But Ziligang decisively gave up the 4th and 5th games and went directly into the team battle, which made them unanimously believe that Zuanping's Gate of Nature violated common sense and was likely to have a cooling time of only a few minutes like other skills of the same level. Now it seems that the situation may be exactly the opposite. The cooling time of the Gate of Nature is extremely long. So long that no matter how much time Ziligang delays, it cannot be restored. That's why Ziligang decisively gave up the next 2 solos. Then after the team battle began, Zuanping was pretending to condense natural energy, but in fact it was a fraud. It was equivalent to Zuanping casting taunts on the 4 people of Qianshu University, so that Kyoto University had no time to implement detailed tactics and had to press all its members to start a team melee. This swarm of people gave Bai Pu an excellent opportunity to cut in. The combination of Gangfang Falling Blade plus Unstable Shield was fully exerted, and it dealt a heavy blow to the Kyoto University team as soon as it was launched. You've been fooled. Haoshin's face was gloomy, and he raised his hand and shook it towards Xuanpin. Xuanpin suddenly felt his heart contract, his eyes went black, and he was instantly frozen and fell into coma. Deep freeze. Haoshin strode to catch up, and his one-handed sword wrapped in white frost roared and slashed. However, at the moment when the frost blade touched his body, Xuanpin turned into white light and disappeared directly. Huh? Haoshin frowned, puzzled. His attack power is not as high as Bai Pu. Even if he has the power of freezing secret amplification, it will take at least 10 seconds of output time to knock out Xuanpin's health. Why did Xuanpin give up directly? A level 6 hero profession should be able to rule out options such as fear of pain. Haoshin didn't have time to think about it and continued to chase the two ordinary-faced men. Bai Pu had already killed Loi at this time. Another bad news came. Haoshin's last teammate, Chonggang, who was good at long-range shooting, was killed by the blood spider. No wonder Chonggang only shot a few arrows at the beginning and there was no sound throughout the whole process. It turned out that he was targeted by the blood spider. As a shooter, facing an opponent like the blood spider that can fight in close combat or long range, Chonggang has no room for operation. If Chonggang was under the protection of the team, he could easily shoot him to death with two more blood spiders. But the Kyoto University team, fearing Xuanpin's summoning spell, pressed forward with all their members, resulting in the shooter being left alone and captured by the blood spider. As for why Chonggang was not allowed to press forward together, we have to talk about how Lan Feng, the shooter of Jianmen University, the last opponent of Ziliguang, died. It was because he pressed too close, and was dragged over by Gangxin's lasso, beaten to death, and became the first victim of the team's chaos. Haoshin turned around suddenly. He didn't dare to chase the two ordinary-faced men anymore. Bai Pu was already standing in front of him. The blood spider and the two ordinary-faced men watched from a distance, and did not come over to surround them. Don't look at it, it's just you and me, let's have a fair fight. Bai Pu thrust his sword in front of him. I have already challenged you to a fight, but you avoided it. Now my three teammates will not join the attack, so let me test the quality of the Zhaijing twins. I say again, I hope you are not just a name for nothing. Haoshin's face was stern. Bai Pu's words almost nailed him to the pillar of shame and whipped him repeatedly. Because I hope you are not just a name for nothing was what Bai Pu said when he was provoking during the trash talk session. And Haoshin chose to avoid the fight and catch the blood spider. If Kyoto University won, Haoshin would receive less criticism, which could be explained as considering the overall situation and sacrificing personal reputation. But now, Kyoto University has reached the point of desperation. If they lose, Haoshin will lose even the last fig leaf. He lost his reputation in the game. He is simply a clown. The only thing that puzzled Haoshin was why Bai Pu was so arrogant when he had a big advantage and wanted to have a fair fight with him. From Bai Pu's perspective, it's actually very simple to do this. Now that he has won, Bai Pu has to plan for the next finals. The finals will be against Zhaijing University. If Bai Pu can face Feng Hao, that would be the best result. How to create a momentum that forces Feng Hao to fight. Haoshin, who is as famous as Feng Hao, is an excellent stepping stone. So Bai Pu spent a lot of effort to simulate the arrogance of disdaining the Zhaijing twins. Every word he said seemed to be mocking Haoshin, but in fact it was aimed at Feng Hao. What try the quality of the Zhaijing twins? Well, I hope it's not a false reputation. In order to clear his name, Feng Hao will have to take the initiative to fight Bai Pu in a duel with his reputation. Haoshin raised his shield and sword and rushed towards Bai Pu. The two MTs collided with each other. The battle was a bit tense, mainly because Haoshin's extremely heavy ice armor had been combined with a freezing secret, and the defense was indeed very high. But Haoshin couldn't break Bai Pu's defense no matter what. All that could be heard was the dull sound of weapons clashing and billowing dust flying away. Chapter 339 Haoshin? How? Bai Pu did not open the Blood River territory. It was not because the Blood River Daoqi was consumed too much. It was because he did not want to use his full strength. If he used all his strength, gene fusion, pure blood defense, plus the most powerful shield-breaking mountain collapse secret, Haoshin would not be able to stop him. But Bai Pu's goal is not just to defeat Haoshin. He wants to build momentum for the finals. Create a momentum that Feng Hao has to fight. First of all, the strength shown must be at the same level as Feng Hao and Haoshin. It won't work if it's too low, which means not qualified to challenge. It won't work if it's too high. If Haoshin is defeated in a few seconds, it means that Feng Hao is too strong. I don't know if Feng Hao will feel guilty, but the students of Zhejiang University will definitely think that Feng Hao is not his opponent. At that time, Feng Hao doesn't need to speak. The students of Zhejiang University will give advice online and persuade Feng Hao not to be stubborn. Only when the strength he showed was not much different from Haoshin and he had to work hard to defeat Haoshin, would the students of Zhejiang University feel that Feng Hao's strength was still above Bai Pu's. In this battle, Bai Pu did not even use the collapse of mountains, and only relied on the advanced level of the wind to fight Haoshin. Haoshin fought very hard. When he was at a disadvantage in strength, he would be beaten off balance by Bai Pu if he was not careful, followed by the heavy slash of the Sawtooth sword and the second slash of the wind trajectory. So Haoshin had to maintain the extreme ice heavy armor, which not only enhanced the defense, but also enhanced the strength confrontation value of the defense. He felt that if he did not maintain the extreme ice heavy armor, he would hardly last a minute in Bai Pu's hands. Haoshin's fighting spirit was also constantly depleted. Later, he had to turn off the ice and snow field to reduce the consumption of fighting spirit. The battle lasted for nearly 30 minutes. Haoshin's last bit of fighting spirit was completely exhausted, and his physical strength was basically exhausted. Bai Pu was also exhausted and breathing heavily. However, he still fought to the end with his strong willpower. Sword after sword, slowly reducing Haoshin's health, and finally chopped him into white light. Blood Spider was the first to rush over and supported Bai Pu, preventing him from falling. On the big screen, the close-up of the camera gave Bai Pu, his slightly pale face and violently trembling chest, all telling the hardships of this battle. In the stands, the audience felt that this battle was very exciting, and there was a feeling of evenly matched. Compared with the strength of the overwhelming, the team battle that ended in a few minutes was much more interesting. Then came the post-match interview. Bai Pu, as the MVP, walked onto the rostrum, and Xian Yu held the microphone and interviewed Bai Pu. As the saying goes, you have to do the whole show. Bai Pu still acted very crazy in the post-match interview and continued to put pressure on Feng Hao. What's the biggest feeling of this battle? Under the reputation of the two peaks of Zhejiang, in fact. Haha. Those who understand will understand. Bai Pu shook his head and said with a smile, I finally figured out why Haoshin avoided fighting. Xian Yu felt a little uncomfortable. Although Bai Pu is very handsome, you have always looked down on the two heroes of Zhejiang, which means you look down on Feng Hao, the captain of our Zhejiang University. She couldn't help but said, Contestant Gangson, the one you are fighting with today is only Haoshin. He should not be able to represent the strength of Captain Feng Hao. Although the two are equally famous, Captain Feng Hao has always been ranked first on the prediction list, so there's still a gap in strength. Bai Pu said disdainfully, the gold content of the prediction list is just so-so. Before we played Jianmen, Border Town Wanderer was third, and now he has dropped to 12th. Before playing Kaianun, Haoshin was second, and it is estimated that he can't keep this ranking. Next, when we play Zhejiang, Feng Hao will be first. The two words are very imaginative. Do you mean that your strength is above Captain Feng Hao? Xian Yu asked. Bai Pu spread his hands, you have to ask Feng Hao himself. Anyway, judging from today's game, I am actually quite disappointed. Then will you be the first to appear in next week's game and challenge Captain Feng Hao? Xian Yu asked. Bai Pu was a little bored, shook his head and said, forget it, I'm too lazy to challenge. The people of Zhejiang are very smart. After a pause, Bai Pu continued, I regard this game as a tempering for myself, fighting with heroes from all walks of life, and I hope that the strong will win. But the awakened people in Zhejiang regard the game as a business field of intrigue and deception. If Haoshin is like this, how much better can Feng Hao be? Bai Pu's interview caused a stir in the online communities of various universities. As the capital of China, Zhejiang district has 3 of the 8 famous universities, plus a series of key universities, which constitute the Zhejiang University Circle. Students in the Zhejiang University Circle were accidentally injured because of Bai Pu's map cannon. The phrase Zhejiang people are smart is not a compliment. Many people criticized Bai Pu for his arrogance and said that he would be taught a lesson if he met Zhejiang University. But Bai Pu was the winner of this battle, so this criticism seemed pale and powerless. More people poured their anger on Haoshan. I declare that Haoshan is the biggest joke of this competition, a pure clown. A tactical master, he was as fierce as a tiger in some operations, but his record was a 1/5. Gangxin is so arrogant, 99% of the reason is Haoshan. If Haoshan accepted the challenge from the beginning, even if he lost in the end, he would not be looked down upon. At least he would die standing up, which is better than losing both face and substance now. Haoshan? How percent? In the circle of Zhejiang colleges and universities, a large number of students posted messages, asking Feng Hero to challenge Gangxin in the finals. Someone analyzed rationally, in fact, Gangxin's strength is not necessarily stronger than Haoshan. Although his template is a little higher, his level is one level lower, which is basically a tie. The reason why Haoshan lost in the end is because there are people like Blood Spider lurking beside him. He is under too much psychological pressure, unlike Gangxin who can perform perfectly. Someone replied in agreement, the author of the post is telling the truth. Gangxin and Haoshan are at the same level. Boss Feng Hero is half a level stronger than them. Someone shouted to Feng Hero, Boss Feng Hero, face him head on. Don't learn from how percent. We at Zhejiang University have never been afraid of head-on confrontations. The internet was abuzz with discussions, but Bai Pu didn't care after he had started the fire. He and Zuzu rented a training ground in the Secret Service Bureau's high-level junction Chian Valley and practiced hard in seclusion. The reason for renting another venue is not because Pengliu Island could not be used, but because Pengliu Island had a large number of surveillance equipment, and the practice process of Bai Pu and Zuzu was relatively private and could not be seen by outsiders. Moreover, as a high-level junction, the Chian Valley has a higher intensity of psychic particles. With intermediate awakeners inside, it's like practicing with weights, and the progress will be faster. Exclamation mark. The Blood Spider's lips were almost bitten through, and she endured the cruel discipline without a groan of pain. She was greatly stimulated by this game, and took the initiative to ask Bai Pu to whip her with the Holy Thorn, imitation, to stimulate her comprehension ability and practice the secret of space cutting. Now that the Holy Thorn, imitation, has been strengthened to +4, the cruel discipline will no longer cause actual physical bleeding, but will discipline on the mental level. Sensory, there will be no more bloody restricted level scenes. There are more actual benefits, and the loss of life value on the mental level will recover faster. Originally, it would take Bai Pu at least 1 or 2 hours to recover from a cruel discipline, but now it only takes 10 minutes to restore the life value on the mental level to full value. The only thing to note is to accurately time the bleeding state. In case the bleeding loss on the mental level exceeds the actual life value, it will really kill people. If one is not careful and exceeds the Blood Spider's tolerance, and the spirit is reflected into reality, the Blood Spider will be covered with whipping scars and bleed to death. Then Bai Pu can only give her a drop of pure blood as a last resort. Chapter 340, The Appearance of the Volcano. Although the advice given to me by the divine envoy Xiaosha was very little, there was one sentence that I found very useful. Bai Pu said, the degree of comprehension of the secret is divided into 3 levels, beginner, advanced and proficient. The sign of reaching the advanced level is that the secret can be combined with skills to comprehend a more powerful secret skill. So I guess that if the secret wants to reach the advanced level, you may have to try to add the secret when casting skills, so as to comprehend the secret skills earlier. Bai Pu's words were not taken for granted, because he recalled that when he comprehended the secret of Gangfeng, it was because of the breakthrough of the mutant skill, Walking Wind Slash, that he comprehended the most suitable wind secret for himself. Then he combined the wind secret with the Walking Wind Slash and comprehended the secret skill, Gangfeng Falling Blade. Therefore, Bai Pu's Gangfeng secret was at the advanced level from the beginning. Under the effect of spiritual admonition, the Blood Spider's comprehension ability also improved a lot. She pondered for a while and said, my space-cutting secret skill is more suitable for the skill, high-frequency spinning stab. If we can combine it and remove the target's external armor when performing the high-frequency spinning stab, the burst output should be very high. Of course, the strength of the secret skill is also reflected in the fact that you can multiply the damage increase of the skill by the damage increase of the secret skill itself. Bai Pu shook his head a little regretfully and said, it's a pity that my Gongfeng Falling Blade is a multi-stage displacement and control skill, not a damage skill. Its basic damage is low, so even with a 90% damage increase of the advanced Yangfang secret skill, it is not enough. After turning off the spiritual admonition of the Holy Thorn, imitation, Bai Pu pondered and said, I have to find a way to upgrade my other secret skill, Collapse of Mountain, to an advanced level. At present, there are two skills suitable for pondering the advanced level of Collapse of Mountain. One is Unstable Shield, and the other is Three-Divided World. Suddenly, Bai Pu's eyes lit up. The most suitable one should be Unstable Shield. The main defense of the shield generated by itself is as indestructible as a mountain. The subsequent shield explosion is even more in line with the meaning of the collapse of the mountain. The blood-colored shield energy appeared on Bai Pu's body, and the shadow of the mountain was vaguely formed behind him. He tried to combine the two. The shadow of the mountain collapsed, and the blood-colored shield energy was broken. This time he failed. Bai Pu opened his eyes, picked up the Holy Thorn, imitation, and whipped himself again, then closed his eyes and continued to think. Failed again and again, tried again and again. Gradually, the appearance and breadth of the blood-colored shield energy became closer and closer to the shadow of the mountain, until they merged into one. It's done, I understand. When I teach you how to advance the mystery, I understand it better myself. This is the so-called teaching and learning from each other. Bai Pu opened his eyes and said to Blood Spider with a smile. Blood Spider was stunned. She still hasn't figured out how to attach the feeling of space cutting to the skill. Because the casting of skills has a fixed energy flow path, just like a complete program. The awakener inputs energy, the program runs, and the output is the result, that is, the skill takes effect. The secret is equivalent to the awakener's understanding of the principle of program operation. The awakener has to use these superficial understandings to modify the code and optimize the program. The difficulty can be imagined. You can only rely on intuition to modify and constantly try and error. This requires a long time of trial and error. The higher the awakener's comprehension, the more accurate the intuition, and the number of repeated trial and error is far lower than the normal value. Obviously, Bai Pu is the kind of person with extremely high comprehension. Zuzu felt a little sad. She felt that she might be the kind of person with poor comprehension. The sum of her and Bai Pu's divided by 2 is about the normal level. Try hard, try hard. Zuzu felt that her spiritual life value had almost recovered, and signaled Bai Pu to hide her again, and then began to comprehend. Bai Pu checked the prompt of the spirit world's will. Your progress in mastering the secret of collapsing mountains, advanced. Damage amplification increased to 120%. When attacking armor, it can cause the target's armor to partially collapse. When attacking shield, it can cause the shield energy to collapse. Your combat skill, Unstable Shield, is promoted to the ultimate skill, Volcanic Face. The current skill level is 7, Limit Breaker +1. Volcanic Face. 3-star ultimate skill. Create a mountain shield to protect yourself. The shield can absorb 594 damage per second. When the shield energy value is depleted, you need to continue to inject energy to maintain it. Your other shield energy will be assimilated by the shield of Volcanic Face, temporarily increasing the upper limit of the shield value. After the shield is generated, 3 seconds, you can detonate the shield, causing shock damage equal to the shield value to all nearby enemies. Volcanic Face Level 4 Special Effect, Bombardment, omitted. Based on your hidden title, Limit Breaker, your ultimate skill, Volcanic Face can draw the Level 7 skill special effect in advance. Please choose. Below, there is a series of skill special effects. Bai Pu adheres to the principle of first priority to the secret of collapsing mountains and extracts the special effects that match the secret of collapsing mountains. Landslide. When detonating the mountain shield, it causes real damage to enemies in the center area, ignoring the shield. What is the center area of the explosion? If Bai Pu does not have the level 4 special effect Bombardment, according to the initial description of the skill, the center area is a spherical area with a radius of 2 meters centered on Bai Pu. When Bai Pu performs Bombardment, the center area will be calculated according to different attack methods. For example, if the energy of the volcanic capacity is attached to the sword, the center area is the fan of the sword blade swung out by Bai Pu, and the shock damage type of the center area will be changed to sharp damage. If the fist is used to blast out the fist, the center area is the front cone range of Bai Pu. No matter how the form of the bombardment changes, The overall volume of the center area is constant. Bai Pu calculated that he is now using the volcanic capacity, and the damage of the final explosion is as high as 1,300 plus. If it is the central area, based on the effect of landslides and cracks, shields and armor will be ignored. Even if Bai Pu himself is hit by this move, if he has not evolved adaptively in his head and the vitals, he will be either dead or injured. The key is that Bai Pu can continuously inject energy to keep the shield at full value, 594 points, so that the explosion after 3 seconds will be the most powerful explosion, and the shield energy will not be reduced due to the enemy's attack, resulting in a decrease in the power of the detonation. So the main battle ultimate skill is like this. Compared with the original skill, it is almost a complete transformation. No wonder the border town prodigal son, who mastered the ultimate skill, was so arrogant at the beginning. He really has the capital to be arrogant. Chapter 341, It's for the Convenience of Steelheart. At the junction of Red Rock Valley, in the closed training ground, Bai Pu continued to familiarize himself with the advanced level of the mountain collapse secret. He found that the use of the secret skills really consumed a lot of energy, especially the secret shield of Volcano's appearance. When the shield is depleted, new Blood River fighting spirit must be injected at all times to maintain the balance of the shield energy. Otherwise, the shield will easily collapse due to energy imbalance. Of course, this is also because Bai Pu has just comprehended the secret skills. The more familiar he is, the better the situation will be. Blood Spider kept the top hidden. This made it convenient for her to accept the whipping of the Holy Thorn, imitation, at any time. Of course, the two magnificent peaks were still tightly wrapped with a chest binder. Otherwise, with Blood Spider's proud figure, when practicing skills, the peaks would probably tremble and jump, and directly give Bai Pu a physical demonstration of what the mountain collapse secret is. After experiencing Haoshin's blow, Blood Spider's ambition became stronger. She gritted her teeth and endured the admonition of imitating the Holy Thorn without even making a groan of pain. Thanks to the +4 special effect of the replica of the Holy Thorn, there are no traces of discipline on the body, which prevents Blood Spider from being covered in bruises. She does not have Bai Pu's skin of steel. Of course, mental discipline also has a price, which is fed back to the body, that is, the whole body is sweating due to severe pain, and it looks like sweating profusely. Just when the two were practicing, Blood Spider suddenly received a video call. She saw that it was the goddess of Wushan, who called, and answered the video without thinking. And, King Guyan, how is your recent training in Chilean Valley? The goddess of Wushan just said a word, and suddenly her eyes widened. What are you practicing? You don't even wear your clothes properly. It's for the convenience of Steelheart. Bai Pu quickly coughed. After being reminded, Blood Spider also found that his words were a bit strange, so he quickly stopped talking and changed his words. And, why did you suddenly call me via video? Wushan goddess frowned. I recently explored the Heart Demon world and got something that should be suitable for you, so I came to find you. I am now in Chilean Valley, outside the door of your training ground. Hurry up and open the door. Snap, the video was closed. Blood Spider screamed and looked at Bai Pu for help. Hurry up and put on your clothes. Oh no, hurry up and unhide your equipment. Bai Pu was also in a headache. He didn't take any advantage. If he was misunderstood by Senior Wushan Goddess, it would be really unfair. Bai Pu was not simply afraid of Wushan Goddess, a high-level awakener. It was just that the last time he met Senior Wushan Goddess, Bai Pu had a vague affection for this elder sister who looked like a senior but was actually only 10 years older than him, and didn't want to destroy his image in her mind. Cold knowledge, Senior Wushan Goddess is about the same age as Li Ling, here refers to age. Blood Spider quickly unhid the Ghost Warrior leather armor. The two opened the door of the closed training ground, and as expected, they saw the Goddess of Wushan standing at the door with a frosty face. Seeing that Blood Spider was sweating and looked like he had just done intense exercise, the Goddess of Wushan felt a little blocked in her heart. She coughed and said, "How is your space-cutting secret skill going?" Blood Spider showed it obediently. She could only attach the space-cutting secret skill to ordinary attack actions. As for how to attach the secret skill to the skill, she had not figured it out yet. However, Blood Spider was a good child. In front of her aunt, she tried to show the training results of integrating the secret skill into high-frequency spinning stab. As expected, the high-frequency spinning stabbing failed to start. Integrating the secret skill into the skill Who taught you to practice like this? The goddess of Wushan shook her head helplessly. This blood spider was a little embarrassed. Although she was socially anxious, her emotional intelligence was not low. She naturally heard the meaning of the words of the goddess of Wushan. I'm afraid that this teaching method is not very authentic. It's me. Bai Pu stepped forward, holding an attitude of academic discussion, and said sincerely, I think this should be a way, because the advanced secrets can comprehend the secret skills, so I suggest that Zuzu start from this aspect. Zuzu chimed in, yes, and Gangzin showed me the whole process. He used this method, and it took him less than half an hour to master the advanced secret of collapse of mountains. Secret of collapse of mountains, advanced. The eyes of the goddess of Wushan widened again, and she looked at Bai Pu. Can you show me? Bai Pu certainly would not refuse. He took a deep breath, and the blood river and fighting spirit on his body flowed, simulating the phantom of a mountain shield. Secret skill, volcano appearance, activated. Shield type secret skills. The goddess of Wushan nodded slightly. Let me try the strength. Don't worry, I will hold back. She slapped out with one hand. Under the infusion of true energy, this slap directly condensed into an illusory palm. A green palm print that seemed to be real was lightly printed on Bai Pu. Boom! With a loud bang, Bai Pu felt a strong force coming, and his steps retreated continuously. On his body, the volcanic shield was shaking violently, and it was about to collapse in the next second. Bai Pu immediately mobilized the blood river fighting spirit, and the energy quickly poured in to repair the volcanic shield and maintain its balance. The shield, which was illusory after being slapped by the goddess of Wushan, became much more solid in the next second. However, Bai Pu spent a lot of energy to maintain the energy balance of the shield. If the goddess of Wushan was an enemy, she would definitely follow up with an attack. With Bai Pu's current control of the ultimate skill, he would most likely not be able to maintain the shield and survive the next attack. It's really the ultimate shield. Your skill seems to have the ability to counterattack. Try it, said the goddess of Wushan. Senior, I just learned this skill, and I haven't mastered the power of counterattack yet. Bai Pu said, how about you avoid the center area of the skill to avoid the maximum power? The goddess of Wushan laughed, shook her head and said, it's okay, just come on. I just want to see what the maximum power of this skill is. Bai Pu felt that he was indeed worrying too much. As a top-level awakener, the goddess of Wushan was unfathomable. How could a small 5th-level awakener like him mess with her? The reason why he gave a voice reminder in advance was just out of courtesy to meet social expectations. Bai Pu wiped his palm, and the chainsaw sword appeared in his palm. He bent his legs slightly, and the sword was charged. The shield energy of the volcanic appearance attached to the sword edge. The sword edge was shining and flashing a deadly red. The sword energy extended from the tip of the sword edge, which was 7 or 8 meters long. Although the goddess of Wushan seemed calm on the surface, she was actually alert. She found that the power of Bai Pu's skill was very strong, and it didn't seem like the method of an intermediate awakener. However, if she released it, the goddess of Wushan could only hold on. She held the bear in her hands and watched Bai Pu's attack coldly, allowing Bai Pu to make slight adjustments and maximize the power. An astonishing blood-colored sword energy slashed out vertically. Chapter 342, A Brief Biography of the Floating World Swordsmanship. The goddess of Wushan didn't care about the demeanor of a top master, and directly slapped out with her palm. The green palm print flew out, and then exploded under the power of the blood-colored sword energy. The blood-colored sword energy was only slightly blocked for a moment, and then continued to chop over. The goddess of Wushan put her hands together, and the green energy formed a round water curtain. This is a defensive shield-like skill. However, when the blood-colored sword energy touched the water curtain shield, the face of the goddess of Wushan changed slightly. She felt that her Bijia shield was actually losing balance and bursting, and it did not play a protective role at all. Is this the ultimate skill that I just realized? What a joke. The goddess of Wushan complained in her heart, and then turned her palms over and twisted them, as if pulling a heavy object apart. The shape of the Bijia shield suddenly changed, and the continuously surging Bijia turned into a rolling green vortex. Obviously, the goddess of Wushan reacted quickly. When she found that the shield was ineffective, she immediately changed her mind and used the swallowing power of the vortex to completely eliminate the power of this attack. The power of the outer area of the blood-colored sword energy was eliminated by the green vortex. but only a line of the most pure and condensed sword energy in the central area passed through the vortex and cut all the way. The goddess of Wushan hurriedly turned sideways, and 5 strands of green hair shot out from the fingertips of her right hand, as if they were sticky, sticking to the sword energy, and pulling towards the right and back. Swish! The blood-colored sword energy passed straight through, plowing deep gullies on the ground. Huh? The goddess of Wushan breathed a sigh of relief, a little scared. But when she thought of the demeanor of her predecessors, she immediately cleared her throat. Well, this power is so-so. However, Blood Spider and Bai Pu looked at her with expressions as if they had seen a ghost. Why are you looking at me like that? The goddess of Wushan asked in surprise. And, your breastplate. Blood Spider's voice broke in anxiety. The goddess of Wushan felt her chest burning and a little cool. She looked down and found that her chest leather armor was actually scratched by the sword energy. And the sword energy obviously had the special effect of destroying armor. The leather armor of the goddess of Wushan was scratched by the sword energy, and the shirt woven with exotic silk inside was also torn. You can vaguely see the black hollow bra in a large area of snow-white skin. At this time, the goddess of Wushan also blushed. She quickly turned around and took out a thick black cloak like a magic trick, covering herself tightly. The atmosphere was a bit awkward for a while. After a few seconds of silence, the goddess of Wushan said, Gangsun, your ultimate skill is quite powerful. Bai Pu was sweating inside, thinking quickly, and simulated a polite answer that met social expectations. No, if you hadn't allowed me to give it my all, with my current level of mastery of the ultimate skills, I wouldn't be able to use such a high power in actual combat. Even if I tried my best, you basically blocked it. If it weren't for that, he wanted to say that if the senior's bear wasn't too big, I'm afraid the sword energy wouldn't be able to scratch it. And, is your leather armor badly damaged? Will it have an impact on the war in the spirit world? Blood Spider asked. It's okay, the damage is not large, I can find a forger to repair it. The goddess of Wushan tried to bring the topic back and confirmed with Bai Pu, did you really comprehend the advanced level of the collapse of the mountain today? Yes. Bai Pu recounted the process of comprehension, and Blood Spider raised his hand to testify. I've watched your match against Kaiyan University. At that time, Gangsun didn't know this ultimate skill. The goddess of Wushan nodded, then looked at Bai Pu with a complicated look. You should have been exposed to the ultimate skill of Collapse Mountain for quite some time, right? Have you received any guidance from the indigenous people in this regard? Yes. Bai Pu recalled that when his two-handed swordsmanship reached level 4, he received guidance from Beaming Jihu, and then he realized the special effect of Collapse Mountain. Well, this shows that you have accumulated a certain amount of experience. The goddess of Wushan felt that she had found the reason, and her logic became smooth, but the fact that you can comprehend the advanced level of Collapse Mountain so quickly shows that your comprehension is ridiculously high. Senior, you are too kind. Bai Pu was very humble. What I want to say is that the path that suits you may not be suitable for others. Let King Gaiyan try the same way. She may spend several months or even years, but she may not be able to combine the secret of space cutting with high-frequency whirling stab to develop a secret skill. Wushan goddess sighed, this is putting the cart before the horse. The normal way is to first learn the ready-made secret skills, and then let the comprehension of the secrets reach the advanced level over time, and then try to combine the secrets with ordinary skills to create new secret skills. How can you be like this? Bai Pu was a little embarrassed, and almost led Blood Spider astray. Wushan goddess did not blame Bai Pu, on the contrary, she was quite grateful. As she spoke, she took out a scroll and said to Blood Spider, this is the scroll I got from the Heart Demon world. You should understand it well. If you have not learned the secret swordsmanship in it before the strong man's mark is consumed, then it is estimated that you will have no hope of advancing the secret of space cutting within a year or so. Blood Spider took the scroll. A brief biography of the floating world in void swordsmanship, a special item that records the experience of the floating world in void swordsmanship. Floating world and void? What kind of school is this? I've never heard of it. Bai Pu was relatively familiar with the Heart Demon world. Among the 4 guardian oaths, there was no school called Floating World and Void. It is a small secret school in the middle of the Heart Demon world, and it does not belong to any oath. The swordsmanship of the Floating World and Void is nothing, but there are 2 moves in it, Floating World Bible Shadow and 4 Realms Void, which are the secret skills related to space. They can only be learned by awakened people who have comprehended the secrets of space. The goddess of Wushan said. The secret of the secret school. Bai Pu was a little surprised. The secret school was extremely strict in accepting disciples, and only the master, head, was qualified to learn the secret. If you can get this, you probably have to kill the family. The goddess of Wushan knew what Bai Pu was thinking at a glance, and she said calmly, "This is the reward I got for completing the S-level mission of the school's successor. Well, I have said everything I need to say, and it is time for me to go." "Wait a minute, senior." Bai Pu took this opportunity to ask for advice. "I want to know how to make the secret reach the level of mastery." Bai Pu felt that he had been training the blood spider with a stick for the past 2 days, and he had made a contribution, so it would not be excessive to ask for some advice. Chapter 343, Why didn't you recruit Gangson in at the beginning? Has the secret reached the mastery level? The goddess of Wushan thought for a moment and said, "It's okay to tell you, but King Gayan can't listen. She's not ready yet." The blood spider walked away honestly. The goddess of Wushan ramped her voice with her true energy and sent it to Bai Pu's ears. "After the secret reaches the advanced level, you must create your own secret skills. Then, based on the secret skills you created, create a series of related skills to form a skill system of a school. With such accumulation, the secret can eventually reach the mastery level. Create a school." Bai Pu's eyes widened. This was too difficult. "Haven't you created your own secret skills now?" The goddess of Wushan rolled her eyes at him. "For a freak like you, creating a skill school is not impossible." Bai Pu suddenly thought of Dongbo Changzi in the Heart Demon world, who seemed to have created the dancing wind flow secret sword art. He was also puzzled by this, so he asked casually, "Senior, there is a question that I have always been puzzled about. The world of Heart Demon, Oath is a low-level plane area. Why do the indigenous strongmen here have at least level 7 combat expertise, and some can comprehend the secrets and even create their own schools?" The goddess of Wushan looked at Bai Pu. "Then you must have discovered another special thing. Many of the indigenous people in the world of Heart Demon have broken through the level limit." Bai Pu recalled that it was indeed the case. Heart Demon, Oath was originally a low-level world. Logically, the indigenous people who appeared would not exceed level 3. But Dongbo Changzi's level is already level 4, and the demon general Gui Jia and Lian, etc., seem to be level 4 as well. There is also an unknown Bei Ming Ji who may be more than level 4. Every world has its own special features. The special feature of the Heart Demon world lies in the inherited secrets. The goddess of Wushan said, "The 4 great oaths in the Heart Demon world each represent a sword school. The natives join the sword school and learn sword moves over the years, practicing them to the point of being fluent, and internalizing them into their own skills. For masters like this, their combat expertise is much higher than their own level, because the sword moves they internalized are the result of the painstaking efforts of the predecessors of the school countless times. When they have mastered the swordsmanship to the point where they can freely mobilize the energy in their bodies, they will naturally enter the next stage and learn the secret techniques. Systematic secret techniques like this are called inherited secrets. The inherited secrets can help learners break through the shackles of the world level." Bai Pu said, "So, if more natives break through the shackles of the world level, it means that the shackles of the world will be relaxed? Many natives who have not learned the inherited secrets can also reach level 4 or above in the low-level world." Bai Pu thought of the monster created by the demon general Gui Jia, the enhanced elite blood shave. That's right. The natives are the world's beacons, and they have a mutually influential relationship with the world's strength. When the world's strength is high, the natives will be stronger. When the native's strength is improved through the inheritance of the secrets, the world's strength will be improved, and the restrictions will be relaxed. The goddess of Wushan paused and said to Bai Pu, "You have gained a lot from going to the world of original sin this time. I heard that there will be an auction. I have this idea, and I have agreed on a time. It should start after the college competition is over." Bai Pu said, "At that time, I agreed with Blood Spider to occupy one of her places and give her 30% of the proceeds from a holy weapon. Senior, in what form do you hope that Blood Spider will realize this 30% of the proceeds? The holy weapon is sold to the gods, and can be regarded as a limited wish. The forms of realization are naturally diverse." The goddess of Wushan said, "I don't understand what the 30% proceeds of the holy weapon mean, and what benefits can be exchanged. If possible, can you help King Gayan get a qualification as a reserve voter? It shouldn't be a big problem." Bai Pu remembered that Taoshan was granted the qualification of a formal voter because he seized the holy weapon. Judging from the ratio of reserve voters to formal voters, it is not difficult to exchange 30% of the income for a reserve voter qualification. However, Bai Pu still asked, "Senior Wuxian goddess, why do you want Blood Spider to be a reserve voter? What are the benefits of becoming a voter?" Wuxian goddess sighed and said, "I am not a voter, and I don't know all the benefits of being a voter. I just heard about two aspects. The first is that in the advanced spiritual world, when voters are in danger of their lives, they can escape through the power of the gods. The second is that in terms of personal growth, voters will occasionally get guidance from the gods, and the road ahead will be smoother." Senior is not a voter. Bai Pu was a little surprised. With the strength shown by Wuxian goddess, is it possible that she is not qualified to be a voter? There are not so many voters. After all, the number of gods is very scarce. Wuxian goddess said, "Among the 10 top awakeners, not even one person can get the favor of the gods." Bai Pu understood why Wuxian goddess wanted Blood Spider to be a reserve voter. Just like parents want their children to take the civil service exam, having a civil service means stability in a backstage. Bai Pu sighed in his heart. He and Blood Spider, after all, could not become teammates. If Blood Spider becomes a candidate, he will act for the benefit of the gods. Even in the exploration of the spirit world, he will focus on completing the tasks of the gods. This is in great conflict with Bai Pu's principle of independence. Rather than having conflicts and rifts in the future, it is better not to join hands from the beginning. After the goddess of Wuxian left, Bai Pu continued to practice the appearance of the volcano, while Blood Spider comprehended the biography of the floating world in void flow sword art. Zhejiang University, the border of Pengliu Island. Several teachers took the ferry to the main island where the school team was training. On the island, Boing saw several people and was startled. "Everyone. Aren't you the teachers in charge of admissions? Why are you here today?" These teachers are all from Zhejiang's first-class universities. The teachers in charge of admissions this year were in the reception room of Zhejiang Zhou's family. Boing had met them all. Boing had a good impression of these admissions teachers. They gathered at his home, reflecting the importance of each first-class prestigious university to him. This made Boing secretly happy. Xian'ao. The leader was none other than Teacher Yan, who is in charge of admissions at Zhejiang University. She nodded awkwardly and asked, "Is Fenghao here?" "The captain is still in training, and it will probably be over soon." "Okay, let's wait a while." "Xian'ao, don't worry about us, just go and do your own thing." Boing was suspicious and walked away a few steps. He heard a low whisper in his ears. "Alice, why didn't we recruit Gangson in the first place? If I had known he was so capable, I could have negotiated any conditions. I never expected that a freshman would grow so fast. Alice, Fenghao must win. If we lose to Zilagong, a second-rate school, our days will be difficult." Chapter 344 May the Strong Win. It's another weekend. For college students, this is a special day. The final of the college competition has finally arrived. The old champion Zhejiang University. The super dark horse Zhejiang University of Technology. Which team will win the championship? The result of this game has touched the hearts of countless college students. Especially Bai Pu's whole life, the open contempt for the Zhejiang twins, has added a strong smell of gunpowder to this game. In the online communities of major universities, many posts analyzing whether Fenghao will challenge Gangson quickly received dozens or hundreds of replies once they were published. There are also posts analyzing who is stronger between Fenghao and Gangson, and the number of clicks and replies is even more amazing. The popularity is extremely high. Time finally came to 6 o'clock in the evening. Xian'ao changed into a dress with a Zhejiang University emblem printed on it, which made her look slim and charming. As a host, she must be fair on the surface. But she is also a member of Zhejiang University, and she expresses her support for the school team in this way. Okay, teachers, students, and guests. Welcome to the finals of the college competition in Lingyuan 806. I am the host, Xian'ao. The two teams participating in the finals today are very special. Xian'ao introduced all the players of the two teams. She even tried her best to find the few shining points of the two ordinary-faced men from Xi'an Polytechnic University, who had a weak presence, and the only ordinary-faced man from Zhejiang University who had not yet mastered the secret, and introduced them well. By the way, there are also gaps for ordinary-faced men. The ordinary-faced man from Zhejiang University who has not mastered the secret is codenamed Guchen. He is a level 6 hero profession. If you were placed in a worse university team, he could be the main general. Most of the audience at Zhejiang University are students of Zhejiang University. In previous games, they could still pay attention to their manners and give their opponents some humanitarian applause. But today's game is of great importance, and the strength shown by Xi'an Polytechnic University has indeed threatened Zhejiang University's defense. So this demeanor has disappeared. When the Xi'an Polytechnic University team appeared on the rostrum one after another, there were only sporadic applause from the audience from other schools in the Zhejiang University stands. This made everyone feel a little embarrassed and unwelcome. This shows that they are afraid. Zuanpin was indeed wise and foolish. The small eyes under his eyebrows hid wisdom. With just one sentence, the uneasy blood spider and the two ordinary-faced men relaxed a lot. Bai Pu was very calm and stood with his arms folded. At this time, he was in the equipment transformation mode. He did not show the majestic posture of the whole body of heavy armor, but wore a white casual suit, which made him look tall and straight, like a jade tree. When Zhejiang University appeared, even the ordinary-faced man Guchen received warm cheers and applause, which was in sharp contrast to the treatment of Xi'an Polytechnic University. When Feng Hao appeared, the cheers were like thunder, almost overturning the rostrum. Damn it, you don't even want to act anymore, right? The two ordinary-faced men gritted their teeth, and then placed their hopes on the big daddy in the team, Steel Heart Boss, beat them hard. The two teams, from the vanguard to the main general, faced each other from a distance. This time, Zuanpin took the initiative to stand in the position of deputy general, giving the main general position to Bai Pu. In the pre-match communication, that is, the trash talk session, Zilligong's tactics were similar to the last time, both intentionally or unintentionally flattering the high and trampling the low, grabbing the title of Zhejiang twins, openly belittling Haoshan, and actually mocking Feng Hao. The people of Zhejiang University were quite restrained and did not respond. This made the people of Zilligong a little discouraged, as if they had punched into the air. It is estimated that the tactics failed again. Come to think of it, Feng Hao is not a 3-year-old child, but a genius master who has experienced many trials in the spiritual world. How could he be fooled by provocation? It was Feng Hao's turn. He looked directly at Bai Pu and said calmly, "Gangxin, as a newcomer you are really amazing. Even Haoshan was defeated by you. You have been challenging the strongest player in each team, even pretending to be arrogant. In fact, your purpose is very simple, which is to ensure that your other teammate, Blood Spider, can win a solo victory. Adding the one you won, it means 2 solo wins and the opportunity to play in a team battle. This is indeed a painstaking effort. After all, the foundation of Zilligong is too weak. Without the addition of you and Blood Spider, such a team would not even be able to qualify for the national competition, let alone reach the finals." Feng Hao quietly analyzed Bai Pu's approach, which made the audience in the stands suddenly realize. Xianyu did not remind Feng Hao that the time for pre-match communication was limited, but let him continue. This was a small privilege that Feng Hao obtained as the captain of the host team. Feng Hao continued, "But have you ever thought about another possibility? You are the soul of Xi'an University of Science and Technology. If you lose, Xi'an University of Science and Technology won't have to fight anymore. I want to thank you for giving me a great way to defeat Xi'an University of Science and Technology directly. I have decided to accept your challenge. I will play in the first game. Whether you come or not, the victory of this final must belong to Zhejiang University." In the stands, the students of Zhejiang were anxious. "Boss Feng Hao, don't get too excited. Gangxin is a weird guy. Don't fight him head-on." The microphone came to Bai Pu. He simply replied with one word, "Okay." The two teams walked into the underground passage together and headed straight to the main stadium of Pengliu Island. Listening to the surging discussions in the stands, Feng Hao's expression remained unchanged. In his mind, the conversation between him and Mr. Yan, who is in charge of admissions, 2 days ago emerged again. "I have decided to challenge Gangxin." "Ah. Don't. We came here this time to persuade you not to be stubborn. Gangxin is clearly using provocation to get you to fight." Teacher Yan was anxious. The other teachers said in unison, "That's right, as long as you don't run into Gangxin, Zhejiang University's chance of winning is 100%. If you run into Gangxin, there will be variables. For the awakened, interests are the first priority. You should have understood this in the exploration of the spirit world. Feng Huo replied indifferently, this is different from the spirit world. In the spirit world, I am just a passerby, and I can ignore my reputation for the sake of interests. But this is my native world, where I was born and grew up, with many relatives, friends, and classmates. How can it be compared with the exploration of the spirit world? Gangxin's words touched me. He said, may the strong win. This is also a sentence that my teammates and I agree with. I am confident in my strength. If I lose, and Gangxin finally wins the championship, we will have no complaints. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345, King Meets King. The finals were held at the entrance to Pengliu Island, the Gold and Silver Terrace. The Gold and Silver Terrace is a platform built of special steel. The entire platform is suspended above the water and supported by iron pillars below. The entire area of the Gold and Silver Terrace is as large as 10 football fields. The referee on the field announced the entry of the members of the first game. Feng Huo looked at Bai Pu opposite him and smiled faintly. You are here as expected. In fact, Feng Huo took a risk in the first game. Bai Pu could have let a plain-faced man exchange with Feng Huo, and then go to catch Feng Huo's powerful teammates, such as Wanren, Chen Jia. This way, he would have a higher chance of entering the team battle. However, Feng Huo believed in his own judgment, and the final result was just as he expected. In the first game, King meets King. Bai Pu put away his arrogant disguise of simulating the arrogant and arrogant son of Border Town. He still had a good impression of Feng Huo. This was a respectable opponent. You were injured in the world of original sin. Are you healed now? Bai Pu asked. I'm already recovered. Feng Huo said calmly, you don't have to worry about me. This game is fair. Moreover, I also made some breakthroughs in the life and death battle between me and the senior lord, two-faced man. You should be the one who should be careful. The whistle for the start of the game sounded. Feng Huo drew out a 5-foot straight blade, and Bai Pu drew out a chainsaw sword. The two men almost strode towards each other at the same time, and their movements were surprisingly consistent. Both dragged their swords behind them, and the blades made a hissing friction sound on the steel ring, and sparks jumped. The difference was that Bai Pu was holding a shield in his left hand. As they moved forward, the speed of the two men suddenly increased, and they rushed to each other. A touch of red flames suddenly rose on Feng Huo's 5-foot straight blade, and a blood-colored aura surged on Bai Pu's sword. Boom! The two weapons collided, and a circle of invisible air ripples turned into a violent and disordered gust of wind and spread out. Burning Secret versus Strong Wind Secret. The force of this attack was so strong that even Bai Pu took a step back to relieve the force. Feng Huo was a melee profession with strength, holding the weapon with both hands, which gave him a slight advantage in the fight. Feng Huo just shook slightly, and he quickly approached, and the straight blade flashed around Bai Pu, and sword shadows appeared. Bai Pu's shield struck horizontally to block Feng Huo's attack, and at the same time, the great sword in his right hand went straight into the center and stabbed out. The fighting skills of the two were not much different. Bai Pu was holding a sword with one hand at this time, and his level was lower than that of two-handed swordsmanship. Feng Huo's swordsmanship was more refined, but Bai Pu had a defensive advantage of the shield after all. The wide tower shield could easily block the attacks that the chainsaw sword was not convenient to parry. Feng Huo's continuous sword strikes did not cause effective damage. However, he was very patient and continued to swing the sword, trying to attack from different angles. Bai Pu found something wrong. Every time the sword and shield collided, or the two swords fought, there was a hot fire force coming, condensing but not dispersing. After several rounds of fighting, Bai Pu's body surface has been lurking with several red flame marks. Combining the information about Feng Huo that he had learned in advance, Bai Pu immediately became alert. This is Feng Huo's passive skill as the Fierce Blade, Hero Class, Fierce Blade Breath. As long as it is a melee class, when fighting with Feng Huo, it will be marked by Fierce Blade Breath and accumulate layers. Feng Huo can detonate Fierce Blade Breath, causing burst damage to the enemy, as well as continuous burning damage. The original damage is already very high. Combined with Feng Huo's burning secret, the damage is instantly more than doubled. Not to mention that the squishy can't stand it, even the heavily armored tanks can't stand it. After all, the burning damage is fire element damage, which is not reduced by armor. Detonate. Feng Ho urged the fierce blade fighting key, and the fierce blade breath marks on Bai Pu's body surface exploded at the same time. A ball of dazzling flames enveloped Bai Pu. Feng Ho suddenly lowered his body and dashed back and forth around Bai Pu 3 times. With each dash, the straight blade burst out a dazzling sword arc like a half moon. Combat skill, March Slash. After March Slash, Feng Ho took a deep breath and finally swung his sword. This sword slashed out dozens of flaming sword shadows, each of which was very thin and sharp, like an executioner's knife, to cut a target to death. Secret skill, 10,000 slicing flame wheel. The dense and rain-like damage numbers jumped on Bai Pu's body. Each damage number means a fierce attack. The smoke rising from the flaming sword shadows completely wrapped Bai Pu. Feng Ho panted slightly. The continuous burst of professional skills, combat skills and secret skills was also a heavy loss for him. The teammates standing on the surrounding ferries and the spectators in the stands of the stadium outside were all staring at this scene nervously. The smoke dissipated. Bai Pu's tall figure appeared. Everyone's eyes were about to pop out. It's impossible. The captain's continuous attacks would melt even a piece of steel. How come he is fine? Gu Cheng said in astonishment. Even Senior Wanren can't withstand such attacks, right? Wang Zhen asked. He looked almost recovered, and his face was a little pale. I tried, and I can withstand it, but I will be injured, and my combat effectiveness will be reduced by 30% to 40%. Wanren answered honestly. But Bai Pu in the field seemed to be fine. His body was covered with a layer of blood-red shield, and the shadow of the mountain could be vaguely seen. Feng Ho rushed up and attacked continuously, but Bai Pu's shield only had a slight ripple. He can be strong as he wants, and the breeze blows over the hills. For some reason, the people watching the game hide such a sentence in their minds. This is the ultimate shield. Although Steelheart looks relaxed at the moment, he is actually outputting energy at full strength to maintain the ultimate shield, which consumes a lot of energy. Wan Ren said, Steelheart doesn't fight back, not because he doesn't want to fight back, but because he doesn't have enough energy to fight back. He has never used this skill before, so he must have recently comprehended it and hasn't mastered it well yet. Now the two are competing to see whose energy can't hold up first. Obviously Feng Ho also knew this, so he attacked fiercely at all costs to fight against Bai Pu. However, Bai Pu's Dark Gold Tower shield was too advantageous in defense. 70% to 80% of Feng Ho's attack was blocked by the Dark Gold Tower shield. Only 20% to 30% was absorbed by Bai Pu's volcano appearance. Strength can't last long. Feng Ho's intensive attack will eventually stagnate. When you use up your breath, you will always have to recover. Feng Ho retreated 2 steps, and when he was breathing, Bai Pu moved. The Dark Gold Tower shield that had been giving Feng Ho a headache was thrown out by Bai Pu without hesitation. Flames rose from Feng Ho's feet, and he moved 20 meters away in an instant, dodging the spin throw, all or nothing. At the same time, he also escaped from the spider web bound by the demonic power. After all, he also had Bai Pu's information in his hand, and knew the power of the Dark Gold Tower shield, so he did not hesitate to use the ultimate displacement skill Scorching Flame Path to avoid the range of the spider web. Chapter 346, Burning Heart Starfall. However, Bai Pu did not activate the release of demon power. This kind of large-scale control must be saved for team battles. Throwing the shield was Bai Pu's horn to turn defense into offense. He changed to holding the sword with both hands. At this moment, Feng Ho felt a change in Bai Pu's aura. Originally it was an unshakable mountain, majestic and long, unchanged from ancient times. Now it is a volcano about to erupt. On the edge of Bai Pu's chainsaw sword, a thrilling blood-colored sword energy has been condensed, as long as 7 or 8 meters. He slashed at Feng Ho. Swish, the blood-colored sword energy drew a magnificent blood-colored light arc in the air. Volcano appearance bombardment mountain collapse. This is the ultimate skill that almost injured the top awakener, Wuxian Goddess. Bai Pu has full confidence in its power. Of course, the Wuxian Goddess was embarrassed at the time because she boasted that she wanted to feel the strength. She was restricted in advance and could not hide, so she could only bear it. The strongest shield-breaking attack ability of the Collapse Mountain secret skill. So even though the Wuxian Goddess was much stronger than Bai Pu, she still ended up with her equipment damaged and her beauty exposed. Now Feng Hao does not have this restriction, he can dodge. But Bai Pu chose a very clever time to attack. He threw out the dark gold shield and forced Feng Hao's strongest displacement skill before launching the sword energy to break through the air attack. Feng Hao could only activate the skill, flash, of the equipment, magician's boots. His figure flashed to the side for more than 10 meters, barely avoiding the position where the sword energy was the strongest. But he was still hit by the edge of the sword energy. The Collapse Mountain secret skill, which destroys part of the target's armor, takes effect. With a click, the golden chainmail behind Feng Hao was torn into a large jagged hole by the explosive force, and there was a blood mark on his back. Bai Pu's figure soared into the air, wrapped in a heavy gale, and pounced on Feng Hao. At the same time, the Blood River territory, which had not been opened, was finally opened. Feng Hao's speed slowed down greatly, as if he was suppressed by a heavy object. He could only watch Bai Pu flying over. With a loud bang, Bai Pu's great sword hit the ground, and Feng Hao's figure was thrown into the air and entered a floating state. Bai Pu's sword swung twice in a row, and the weapon's additional skill cutting was activated, which damaged Feng Hao's 60 points of armor again. Feng Hao's upper chainmail had been destroyed for the most part, and his own tough skin based on endurance was also torn and bleeding. After he landed, he had to endure the subsequent attraction of Eye of the Storm. Under the heavy pressure of the Blood River territory, he could not pull away at all. Bai Pu's greatsword was charged, and the Phantom of the Mountain attached to the sword body, intending to give Feng Hao a hard blow and end this game. However, Feng Hao stretched out his hand with difficulty and shook it towards Bai Pu. For a moment, Bai Pu felt a burning pain in his soul, and his eyes were red. His charging was interrupted, and the Blood River territory was also temporarily interrupted. Burning soul. Similar to Haoshin's mind freeze, both interfere with the opponent at the spiritual soul level. However, Haoshin's mind freeze slows down the opponent's thinking, which is almost threatening to Bai Pu, a freak whose thinking speed is far beyond that of ordinary people. But Feng Hao's soul burning is a forced stun, which is a hard control. Bai Pu's template priority is very high, and his willpower is strong, so he resisted the soul burning for most of the time. But this is enough for Feng Hao to escape. His body is surging with fire, and he slashes at the Eye of the Storm, in the void with a sword. Under the confrontation between the Fierce Edge Daoqi and the Blood River Daoqi, the Eye of the Storm dissipated, and only a strong wind blew from the ground. So powerful. Feng Hao's face turned pale. I knew that you didn't use your full strength when fighting Haoshin. Now I try it, it's true. The ultimate shield skill just now is something I have only recently realized. Bai Pu said the truth. That's not what I mean. You also have a talent that temporarily improves your combat expertise, why don't you use it? Feng Hao took a breath and rubbed his eyebrows. I will definitely use it when I need it. However, fighting in this state now is very helpful for improving my combat expertise. Bai Pu said. When fighting Feng Hao, Bai Pu did not use pure blood or gene fusion, but only used adaptive evolution, a defensive form against fire damage. Pure blood has been used to water the rune tablet, with only one drop left as a reserve, and it will not be used easily in the arena. Once the gene fragments are fused, Bai Pu's two-handed swordsmanship expertise can be pushed up to advanced level 8 or even level 9. With such expertise, the perception and improvement that can be brought to a duel with intermediate awakeners is actually very small, so Bai Pu will not use it. Bai Pu is not the kind of person who likes to hide his tricks. As long as the situation is dangerous, he will definitely use any trump cards. Improve combat expertise. Feng Hao was angry and sneered, it seems that the pressure I put on you is not enough. Bai Pu found it a bit difficult to speak, but that was the fact, so he simply agreed. Okay. Next, I'll show you the self-sacrificing skill I learned from the battle with Two-Faced Man. Burning Heart Starfall. Feng Hao's breath became cold and solemn. Bai Pu raised his hand, and the dark gold tower shield inserted in the ground flew back with a whistle. I'm ready. Bai Pu said seriously, you're a good person. You reminded me before you use your ultimate skill. Feng Hao. His face became even colder, and he snorted and said, it's useless. You can't block my move. As soon as the 3 words can't block came out, Feng Hao's body suddenly shook, and 3 afterimages were separated, distributed in a triangle around Bai Pu, and then the 3 shadows rushed towards Bai Pu. Bai Pu was not scared. He sensed that these three shadows were all illusory spiritual powers and there was no physical threat. But when the three shadows rushed over, Bai Pu felt his body stiffen. Control skill, 3 shadows fixation technique. During the 5-second duration, the body of the recipient is fixed and cannot attack, defend or move. In 5 seconds, Bai Pu resisted for 3 seconds, and there were still 2 seconds left. Bai Pu did not release the control immediately. He had to wait until Feng Huo used his self-sacrifice skill before releasing the control and defending. What if you released the control too quickly? Feng Huo did not use his ultimate skill, and waited until the next control skill was cooled down before using it. Wouldn't Bai Pu waste a control release skill in vain? Feng Huo's whole body was burning, and his upper limit of health value quickly collapsed with the burning of the surrounding flames, just like fuel. Feng Huo's expression was a little painful and a little sad. Zixi, it's my fault. I insisted on challenging the high-level lords and caused you to die in the world of original sin, although I have realized the ultimate skill of self-sacrifice that can threaten the high-level lords. What's the use? Time can't flow back after all. I turned all my regrets and all my hatred into the awareness of giving up everything, either destroy me, or destroy my enemies. Burning Heart Star Falls. Chapter 347, Powerful Attack. Swish. A beam of red light wrapped around Feng Huo, and suddenly shot out like a meteor. The front end of the meteor was the tip of Feng Huo's straight blade. So fast, it's worthy of being called Starfall. Although Bai Pu released the control immediately, he had no time to dodge. He didn't even have time to put up a shield. Fortunately, he was prepared and activated the first skill of the Dark Gold Shield in advance, Queen's Decree. 2 Spider Demon Warriors blocked Bai Pu. This is a Spider Demon with a higher health than the leader. Unfortunately, they are not very resilient to knockback and knockback. They were directly knocked away by the meteor transformed by Feng Huo. The fat spider sack of the Spider Demon Warrior in the front was even cut open with a tragic wound. If it weren't for the Dark Gold Tower Shield +4, which improved the template of the Spider Demon, these 2 Spider Demons would have been killed instantly. They still bought Bai Pu an extra half breath of time. Bai Pu took a deep breath. He now has 2 choices. First, discard the shield, hold the sword with both hands to perform the 3 divided world, and fight against Feng Huo's Burning Heart Starfall. Second, discard the sword and use the shield with both hands to block. Bai Pu chose the second option without hesitation. He threw away the chainsaw sword, put up the shield with both hands, and slightly arched his body to face Feng Huo's self-sacrifice skill head-on. Boom! With a violent tremor, Bai Pu felt an extremely strong impact. He seemed to be hit by the Gilded Man's Holy Spear penetration. The strong thrust drove his feet to slide backwards. Even the ground built with special steel was exaggeratedly deformed, leaving deep scratches. The shield can block physical damage, but this move, Burning Heart Starfall, is a mixed damage, and half of it is the burning of the fierce front fighting spirit, causing high fire damage. Bai Pu was wrapped in Feng Huo's firepower and retreated to the border of the gold and silver platform before stopping. The firepower on his body slowly dissipated, revealing his skin that was burned by the flames and slightly blackened. What a strong attack! When Bai Pu opened his mouth, smoke came out of his mouth. It was obvious that the fire energy not only burned the body surface, but also penetrated deep into the body, causing considerable damage. In fact, the fire damage caused by Feng Huo to Bai Pu just now was as high as 900 points. This kind of single high damage causes great damage to the body, which is much more terrible than the 900 points of damage accumulated piecemeal. This is when Bai Pu turned on adaptive evolution and reduced 50% of the fire damage. If Bai Pu did not have adaptive evolution and did not have the damage reduction of the Dark Gold Tower Shield, he would have been hit by Feng Huo head-on. Even if he did not hit the vital point, he would have been killed instantly or caused extremely serious disability. After all, the damage was too high. Feng Huo was also very uncomfortable after launching this attack. His upper limit of health value burned 90%. Li Feng's fighting spirit dried up and his physical strength was completely exhausted. The secret of the self-sacrifice skill is to move forward courageously, either destroying yourself or destroying the enemy. Feng Huo's face was pale, watching the fire energy on Bai Pu's body slowly dissipate. What a strong defense! Feng Huo supported himself and said the last sentence, and then his figure turned into light and disappeared. This was not him admitting defeat, but the collision between the weapon and the Dark Gold Shield, and the damage caused by the violent recoil force, took away his last life value. In this battle, Bai Pu won. In the gymnasium, there was silence. Everyone was still immersed in the self-sacrifice skill just now, the blow that was like a meteor breaking through the sky. Feng Hao burned his life value and fighting energy to launch a self-sacrifice attack, which was as brilliant as a meteor, but also as short-lived as a meteor. No one scolded Feng Hao for his failure, because he really tried his best. The last attack was powerful enough to be terrifying just from the picture. But Bai Pu, who was able to take this attack, was even more surprising. What kind of perverted defense is this? He took Feng Hao's self-burning big move head-on, but he was not seriously injured. He was still standing steadily on the stage. Although he relied on the dark gold shield, being able to hold the dark gold shield itself means that he is strong enough. This made many viewers recall the battle between Bai Pu and Haoshan, and they questioned it. Could Haoshan really fight with Bai Pu for half an hour, making Bai Pu so exhausted that he had to rely on his teammates for support? This is clearly acting. Feng Hao returned to his teammates. Sorry, I lost. Feng Hao sighed. I didn't expect that I couldn't defeat him even with the self-sacrifice skill. In my current state, I'm afraid I won't be able to play any role even if I enter a team battle. It's okay to lose. We won the championship reward last year, so there's nothing to lose. Chen Jie said, I'm just a little sorry to Guchen and Xiangxings. Guchen quickly expressed his opinion. Skywalker Wanzhen smiled and said, it's okay. I'm only a sophomore. I still have 2 years to go. Besides, the rewards of the college championship are not mandatory. Are you too pessimistic? Wan Ren frowned and said, I admit that Gangxin is very strong. He is undoubtedly the best individual player in this competition. But his teammates are too weak, which is a flaw. As long as we win the next 4 solo games, we can still win the championship directly. Senior Wan Ren is right. We still have hope. We can win 4 games directly without fighting in a team. Gu Cheng said. In the second game, Wan Ren took the stage. He was originally targeting the Blood Spider. However, Zai Polytechnic did not send out the Blood Spider, but a normal-faced man. Wan Ren easily won a game back. The third match will start next. The players sent in advance by both sides are Zhejiang University, Chenjia, Zhejiang University of Science and Technology, Zuzhu. On the rostrum, Zai and Yu calmed down and began to analyze. Zuzhu is very good at both long-range and close combat, and has almost no shortcomings, while Chen Ji's natural spells are very powerful on both offense and defense. The only worrying thing is the terrain drawn for this match, which is the gold and silver platform made of steel, which limits the use of natural spells. Zai and Yu's analysis is still very professional. When Chen Jie stepped onto the gold and silver platform, her heels hit the steel ground, making a clear duodo sound, and she also frowned. The most suitable battlefield for Chen Jie is undoubtedly the forest, and at the very least it must be a flat land with suitable soil and moisture. The steel arena terrain of the gold and silver platform is not friendly to natural spells, which means that Chen Jie has to spend more energy to cast spells. Zuzhu seemed much more relaxed, tapping the ground with his toes lightly, doing a simple warm-up. The whistle for the start of the battle sounded. Blood Spider immediately slapped the dragon hunting mark and raised her hand to shoot a crossbow arrow, closing the distance while shooting. The crossbow arrow was shot to interfere with Chen Ji's casting, so that she could get close. Kite when fighting in close combat, get close to the enemy when fighting at a distance. This is Blood Spider's usual tactic. Chen Jie stretched out his hands, and the green natural energy stretched out a shield. The arrows fell on his body, only creating ripples. Chen Jie raised his hand to cast the root entanglement, but the green natural energy had to extend from the steel ground and turn into materialized vine roots, which consumed extra energy and extended the casting time a little. Blood Spider stopped suddenly, turned on her shoes to accelerate the lateral movement, and avoided the range of the root entanglement. She turned on her shoes to sprint at a speed of up to 130 points, and instantly moved lateral movement up to 10 meters, which was beyond the range of Chen Ji's mind lock, so she was able to dodge so easily. Blood Spider raised her hand and shot 3 times in a row, breaking Chen Ji's shield and forcing Chen Jie to dodge. While Chen Jie was dodging, Blood Spider had already pounced on him at high speed. Chapter 348 I will hold Steel Heart back then. 130 points of movement speed was really instantaneous. As a forest sage, Chen Jie naturally had control skills, but it was difficult for her control skills to hit the blood spider that was sprinting at such a high speed. After all, in such a steel ground competition venue, it would take a little longer to cast wood attribute spells. Chen Jie obviously also had experience in fighting in unfavorable venues. She did not rush to use control. Instead, when the blood spider rushed in front of her and swung her double daggers to slash, she took the risk of being slashed by the blood spider twice and cast a root entanglement skill on the spot. Green natural energy spread under her feet, wrapping up Chen Jie and the blood spider, tightly entangled their feet. As a spellcaster, Chen Jie floated back, and the vine roots seemed to be spiritual and avoided it. However, the blood spider was fixed by the roots and could not move. After Chen Jie retreated a few steps under the effect of poisoning and slowing down, she immediately condensed natural energy and transformed into a wooden spear. Secret skill, Wild Growth. This wooden spear is made of pure energy, without substance, and cannot be parried or blocked. Once it hits, the natural seed attached to the wooden spear will absorb the target's life and growth. If it is pulled out, it will also suffer high damage that ignores the additional armor. However, the blood spider gradually disappeared from the spot. She activated the space-cutting secret and escaped into the void. The wooden spear only rubbed her shoulder skin and did not penetrate completely, and lost the target. Pervert. Chen Jie muttered in her heart while pulling away. She knew the space-cutting secret of the blood spider, so she did not rashly use the secret move, but first used herself as bait, risking 2 cuts from the blood spider, and immobilized the blood spider. But the root entanglement lasted for a while, and the blood spider actually escaped into the void. The space-cutting secret is really so powerful, ignoring control? How can it be defeated? The space secret is quite mysterious and rare, and contains multiple detailed classifications. Although Chen Jie has collected some information, it is not complete after all. In fact, the space-cutting secret of the blood spider does not ignore all control. When facing Haoshin's mind freeze, blood spider was half a beat slower in activating the space-cutting secret, which resulted in her failure to dodge the attack in time. Control skills will affect blood spider's activation of the secret, extending the time it takes for her to escape into the void. When she was entangled by the roots, blood spider was also a little slower in activating the space secret, so she was hit by the wooden spear. If she had not been immobilized by the roots, she would have activated the secret in an instant and would not have been touched by the wooden spear at all. With the blood spider's current mastery of the space-cutting secret, she can stay in the void for a maximum of 7 seconds. She can use up these 7 seconds at a time, but the price is that she cannot escape into the void again in the short term. She can also stay in the void for only 1 or 2 seconds, and then activate the secret again, gaining multiple opportunities to escape into the void. Blood spider chose the second option, of course, and appeared outside the roots the next second. One escapes, the other chases. Chen Jie has many ways to move and save his life, but blood spider is too fast. This gold and silver arena was not big enough for the speed of the awakened. Chen Jie was soon caught up by the blood spider and had no way to retreat. The blood spider's figure was like a phantom, flashing around Chen Jie and attacking him. Each attack was expanding Chen Jie's flaws, and the last high-frequency spinning stab was the end. However, when the high-frequency spinning stab was launched, Chen Jie also used her life-saving skills, and a wooden dummy took the damage of this attack instead of her. Chen Jie's figure appeared right behind the blood spider, holding a wooden spear in her hand and stabbing the back of the blood spider. Above the blood spider's head, the phantom of a ghost warrior appeared and howled to the sky. Evil ghost howl. Chen Jie's attack was interrupted, and the wooden spear with energy in his hand also dissipated. He fell into a state of fear and fled aimlessly. Chen Jie immediately used the control release. However, after the blood spider forced Chen Jie's substitute and control release skills one after another, the corners of his mouth under the mask were slightly hooked, with a hidden smile. In an instant, the blood spider suddenly split into 4, surrounding Chen Jie in 4 different directions of east, west, south and north. As the space wavered, Chen Jie suddenly felt that the air around him had solidified, and there was a moment of stagnation. The 4 blood spiders around him were not illusions. It was as if the space was cut into a smooth mirror, reflecting the blood spiders from different angles. The 4 blood spiders simultaneously stabbed towards Chen Jie in the central area, and 4 blood-colored edges surrounded him. Most of Chen Jie's remaining health was emptied, and the whole person turned into light and disappeared. East China Sea region, Wu family. The goddess of Wushan was wearing a phantom, straight suit, curled up in the boss chair, like a lazy cat. She watched the live broadcast of the college competition through the virtual light screen of her watch. Seeing the blood spider split into four and surrounded Chen Jie, she suddenly sat up straight, even ignoring the fact that the buttons on her chest were tightened and might fly out at any time. The four realms are empty? He has comprehended the ultimate skill so quickly. The goddess of Wushan was somewhat surprised and said to herself, "The scroll I gave King Guyan was obtained from the high-level spiritual world. With King Guyan's comprehension, it should be impossible for him to comprehend it so quickly." At this time, the virtual screen showed that the game had entered the late stage of the team battle. Zilagong, which had won 2 games, had the qualification to directly enter the team battle. They decisively gave up the subsequent 2 solo games. After all, Feng Huo was in a very bad state at this time, and it would be more beneficial for them to start a team battle directly. Seeing the close-up shot of Bai Pu on the screen, the goddess of Wushan was thoughtful. Could it be that comprehension is contagious? If Gangxin's comprehension was shared with King Guyan, it would not be surprising that he comprehended the ultimate swordsmanship of floating world empty flow so quickly. After all, this is a pervert who created his own ultimate skills in the beginner stage and directly advanced to the ultimate. Pengliu Island. The atmosphere of the Zhejiang University team was already solemn. Despite the outside world, the students of Zhejiang University in the stands of the gymnasium are still in a relatively optimistic state, thinking that there is still room for a team battle. But on the Zhejiang University side, Feng Huo still hasn't recovered his combat power. His Burning Heart Starfall is extremely powerful. At the intermediate awakener stage, it has the power to threaten the high-level lords, but the price is also very high. The collapsed upper limit of health has only been restored to 20% so far. Having personally experienced a battle with Bai Pu, Feng Huo and Chen Jie have no hope for the upcoming team battle. Think about it, the attacks that are enough to severely damage the high-level lords were all taken head-on by Gangxin. Is there any other way? It's just that the other few people haven't faced Bai Pu head-on. They think Bai Pu is indeed strong, but the team battle is not impossible to fight. Especially Wanren, he said directly, "I will hold Gangxin back at that time. You kill all his teammates first, and then our whole team will beat him up. I don't believe we can't win." Chapter 349. I'm obviously better. Blood Spider defeating Chen Jie was not something worth marveling at for the ordinary audience in the audience. In their eyes, it was just a level 6 agility hero class defeating another level 6 spellcaster hero class, which was a very common thing. They didn't understand that there was a big gap between the same level 6 hero classes. But insiders knew it very well. For example, the goddess of Wushan. Another example, the contestants in the spectator seats. A few minutes ago, several people from Jianmen University looked at the scene of Blood Spider defeating Chen Jie and looked at each other in surprise. This Blood Spider has improved so fast. Swordsman Waterbird murmured, "Chen Jie has mastered the secret of life, and in terms of the rarity of the secret, he is stronger than the captain, but he was defeated by Blood Spider head-on. Chen Jie just randomly got at a range she is not good at? If it was a forest terrain, 2 more Blood Spiders would not be a match." Bian Chang Langzi's face was a little gloomy, and he forced an explanation. "She is indeed improving, but I am also improving. I have initially mastered the secret of dancing wind, and I am not worse than Chen Jie." Lam Feng remained silent. She felt the most deeply. After all, she and Blood Spider lived together for a period of time when they were young, and they were distant cousins. Lam Feng was likable and sweet-mouthed since childhood. Compared with Blood Spider, a social phobia patient, she naturally received more favor from the elders. More than one elder asserted that Lan Feng was more suitable for the spirit world and would achieve greater success in the future. Lam Feng has always believed this sentence 100%. This is indeed the case. Lam Feng was promoted to hero profession at level 4, while Blood Spider did not change his job and was just a template for strengthening elites. Blood Spider is 1 year younger than her and 1 level higher than her, but Lan Feng doesn't care. Later, Blood Spider took the college entrance examination and chose Zichen Polytechnic University. Lam Feng was puzzled and secretly mocked Blood Spider for giving up on himself. He was completely incomparable with himself, who was admitted to one of the 8 famous universities. Until the exploration of the world of flesh and blood plague, distortion, the arrogant Lan Feng met Steel Heart and was driven out of the spirit world in a few seconds. Then not long after, Lan Feng heard the news that Blood Spider had been promoted to the hero profession, the 6th level hero profession, one level higher than herself, and she had surpassed him. It seemed that she and that annoying Gang Xin were in the same university. Lan Feng automatically substituted the relationship between Blood Spider and Gang Xin into the relationship between herself and Border Town Wanderer. Her competitive spirit was aroused again, and she wanted to teach Blood Spider, her distant cousin, a lesson in the college competition. She expected that Border Town Wanderer would abuse Gang Xin, and she would abuse Blood Spider herself, and have a refreshing and cool script. But she didn't expect that the cool script existed, but she was just a supporting role. Blood Spider has been training with Gang Xin recently. Before she changed her job to the hero profession, it is said that she also got the help of Gang Xin. How can she be so lucky to meet Gang Xin? Obviously I am better, but Lan Feng's eyes swept over, his sight lingered on the face of Border Town Wanderer for a while, and then cast on the big screen. At this time, the team battle had begun, and the big screen gave close-ups of the faces of each team member. The close-ups of Feng He and Gang Xin were particularly long. Looking at Bai Pu's handsome and masculine face on the screen, Lan Feng thought of the scene outside the dormitory eavesdropping on the wall, and his cheeks were flushed. Pengliu Island, Jininte. Bai Pu has used 9 chapters to see the intelligence of the key targets on the opposite side, especially the status of Feng He. The detection skill was ineffective against Bai Chang Langzi at the beginning because Bai Chang Langzi had comprehended the secret of Wind Blade and could freely mobilize the energy in his body. The detection skill is a kind of external skill and will be interfered by the body protection energy of Bai Chang Langzi. This is the reason why the detection failed at the beginning. For an awakened person like this who has mastered the secret, ordinary detection methods are ineffective. But Feng He at this time can be detected. This means that he has lost the ability to mobilize energy to protect his body and is now in a state of serious injury. The information that Bai Pu saw also confirmed this. Feng He's upper limit of health value at this time is only 20% of the maximum value, and it is still in a state of energy drying up, basically an empty shell. However, Zhejiang University obviously did not give up. Wanren took the lead and stood at the front of the team. As soon as the whistle sounded, Wanren hammered the ground. The rock secret was activated, and Wanren's body was quickly covered with a layer of stone armor. This layer of stone armor was constructed with the help of the power of the earth and Wanren's own professional energy. The special steel floor of the Jininte slowed down the speed of Wanren's activation of the stone secret, and the consumption was slightly increased, but not as much as the restriction on Chenjia. After the activation was successful, Wanren's armor can still absorb damage continuously. The two teams sprinted towards each other, and Bai Pu's Blood River territory was spread out. Wanren roared, and the arms of the rock armor extended, forming a series of small stone circles, protecting several teammates in the stone circles. The stone circle phantom and the Blood River phantom collided with each other. Heavy rock barrier versus Blood River territory. The stone circle is like a circular dam, defending against the impact of the Blood River phantom. Although a lot of Blood River fighting spirit penetrated in, it is undeniable that at least half of the power was offset by the stone circle. However, the effect of the stone circle itself in improving armor and providing damage absorption was also greatly reduced under the impact of the Blood River territory. Facing the Blood River territory head-on, Wanren immediately felt a strong pressure from the enhanced hero profession and the prototype field skills. But he had full confidence in his rock armor that had been tempered 1,000 times. Zilligong is an out-and-out chopper team. There is only theoretical non-physical output, that is, Zuanpin summons the tree demon Miss Alindra or the poisonous vine Miss Carilla, which will provide a certain amount of toxin damage. But this non-physical output ratio can basically be ignored. Rock armor is specially used to deal with chopper teams. Wanren strode towards the 5 people of Zilligong and shouted angrily, "Heavy rocks and peaks." Shadows of mountains and rocks stood up, and Wanren's body burst out with a strong suction force. This professional special effect. Bai Pu was a little surprised. Wanren's move was obviously the special effect of the professional skill rock armor, which was similar to Bai Pu's previous level 4 special effect gravity field. The enemies around him need to pass the strength test, otherwise they will be sucked around Wanren. This is the feeling of being pulled by gravity. It's a little different from my gravity field. Heavy rocks and mountains is a strength test. If the strength is not passed, you will be sucked over. In this process, your body is not even under control. The gravity field does not require strength to resist, but the corresponding effect is much milder, just slowing down. Chapter 350 Aerial Combo. Bai Pu was quite curious. His feet were rooted firmly in place, unaffected by the section of the heavy rocks. But the two ordinary-faced men were not so good. The traction of the heavy rocks was a strength confrontation judgment. Their strength was a weakness. Without Bai Pu, they could only be sucked over step by step. But Bai Pu's Blood River territory weakened the skill effect of the heavy rocks by 75%. This meant that Tuan Ren suffered a high penalty when judging strength, so the ordinary-faced men naturally performed much better. The long-range professions of both sides have begun to attack. Skywalker Wan Zhen took out a crossbow exactly like the Blood Spider and fired from a distance. He was undoubtedly more professional than the border town wanderer who was temporarily playing the role of a shooter, mainly because Wan Zhen had specially practiced a shooting skill. Let the bullets fly. Passive, long-range shooting causes at least 50 additional physical damage. The farther the bullet arrow flies, the higher the damage bonus caused, up to a maximum of 200 points. Wan Zhen's own shooting expertise has reached the standard. He has also trained this skill to level 4 or above, and obtained the level 4 special effect headshot. Long-range shooting that hits the vital point will cause additional critical damage. Bai Pu has been guarding Zhuanpin, while taking into account the protection of two ordinary-faced male teammates. He can't rush over first now. Although Feng Hao has no combat power, the other four are not easy to deal with. The only weaker Guchen is also a qualified sub-T. In other school teams, he is a level 6 hero profession that is enough to be the main force. If Bai Pu can't defeat Wanren in a short time, he will have to bear the concentrated fire of Chen Jie, Wanren, Xiangxing's, and Guchen. Think about Chen Ji's extremely powerful energy wooden spear wild growth. Without adaptive evolution, only 3 or 4 shots can make Bai Pu's health value 0. After all, Bai Pu's adaptive evolution can only target one type of damage. Facing powerful enemies with multiple different types of damage, the effect is not so obvious. As for the newly comprehended volcanic appearance, it is okay when it is one-on-one, but when facing a siege by multiple people, it is easy to completely break the defense, and then it will enter a cooling state, and it will not be able to be endless. So this battle must be dragged on, at least until Zhuanpin's combat power is realized. He has tried his best to condense natural energy and prepare to summon the gate of nature. Bai Pu held on to his skills, which made the 4 people from Zhejiang University feel great pressure and dared not rush to press forward rashly. But dragging it on like this is obviously not a solution. Zhejiang University needs to break the situation. After Wan Zhen's crossbow arrows were intercepted by Bai Pu and Blood Spider many times, he suddenly rushed forward. Under the protection of the stone circle, he even crossed Wan Ren and bypassed Bai Pu's back to cut into the battlefield. When Bai Pu turned around to cast a lasso attack, Wan Ren crouched and launched a charge. A gray arrow locked onto Bai Pu, and in an instant, a phantom of heavy rocks appeared in front of Bai Pu's eyes. He was stunned by the charge for 0.5 seconds in advance, and then Wan Ren rushed in front of him. The subsequent stun effect of the charge took effect again, and Bai Pu was stunned for another 0.5 seconds. Bai Pu's control releasing skill was used in the duel with Feng Hao. Now he can only rely on the priority of the template, and his own will attribute to resist some of the control effects. Wan Ren delayed Bai Pu, allowing Wan Zhen to cut into the back row of Ziliguang. He flashed and bypassed the attack of the 2 ordinary-faced men. With both hands, he suddenly grabbed Zhuanpin's shoulders. After Bai Pu woke up, he raised his hand and threw out the shield. However, a pair of illusory silver wings suddenly stretched out from behind Wan Zhen, like the wings of a Pegasus. With a flap of the wings, Wan Zhen's figure suddenly rose into the sky. At the same time, Zhuanpin was also taken into the sky. The difference is that Wan Zhen flew into the sky freely, and during the short period of the wings, he could still fight in the air. Zhuanpin, however, was infused with fighting energy all over his body, unable to move at all, and entered a state similar to floating. Swish! Swish! Zhuanpin was falling freely in the air, but Wan Zhen pulled out a lance, which turned into a series of phantoms of Pegasus, and hit Zhuanpin in mid-air like a comet. The point where the comet was sharpest was the tip of Wan Zhen's lance. Combo, double combo, triple combo. Every time Zhuanpin was hit, he was actually stabbed by Wan Zhen's lance. Zhuanpin's health value dropped rapidly. This is the heroic profession Sky Wings, which can fly in the sky for a short time and engage in gorgeous air combat. A series of air sprints lowered Zhuanpin's health value, and then Wang Zhen looked down and stabbed Zhuanpin's chest with a gun. The two of them were wrapped in silver-white fighting spirit tails, like a meteorite, crashing towards the ground. According to the acceleration of the two people, they should be at this coordinate when they enter my range. Bai Pu's computing power was running at high speed, and he suddenly stretched out his hand in advance, throwing out a blood-colored lasso. Lasso strike. This lasso attack was more like a throw to the air in advance. But combined with the increasingly fast-falling speed of Wang Zhen and Zhuanpin, it covered Zhuanpin with great precision, and then pull with force. Zhuanpin was about to hit the ground at high speed, suffering a lot of piercing plus throwing damage. Moreover, this last attack was the final blow of Wang Zhen's previous combo. All the accumulated fighting spirit power would be fully erupted in the final move, enough to kill Zhuanpin instantly. But now, everything has changed. Is this a fraud? How could he predict a position so accurately? My aerial combo speed exceeds 150 points. The acceleration of the last attack is still changing. How could he calculate it so accurately? Wang Zhen called it a fraud in his heart. He felt Zhuanpin's body moving sideways quickly, and he was also pulled over. He hurriedly drew his gun, turned over and jumped, and landed gracefully. Not only Wang Zhen, but also the other people from Zhejiang University were stunned. They knew that Wang Zhen's aerial combo was as fast as lightning, and the last attack was particularly fierce, but it was still pulled down by the lasso thrown by Bai Pu, which was really far from the mark. You have to know that the lasso also has a ballistic trajectory. Zhuanpin was dragged in front of him by Bai Pu, and he was gently placed in front of him, allowing him to gather energy again to open the door of nature. At this time, Zhuanpin's health was mostly knocked down. Fortunately, there was a blood spider fighting with Chen Jie remotely, and Chen Jie had no time to make up for it. The blood spider and two ordinary-faced men suddenly rushed out and pounced on Wang Zhen. Now Wang Zhen was alone and out of touch with the team's formation, so Ziligang would naturally not let him go. The three surrounded him and forced Wang Zhen to activate the Pegasus wings again to take off. This professional skill is similar to Bai Pu's Dark Gold Tower Shield with the ultimate move Demon Power Release. Usually, you need to accumulate Pegasus Soul Power. When you need to activate flying, you will continuously consume Pegasus Soul Power points. If Wang Zhen's stored Pegasus Soul Power is exhausted, he will not be able to fly, and his air advantage will be gone. Bai Pu left the Dark Gold Shield to protect Zhuanpin, and took a step forward, slashing at Wang Zhen head-on. Now Wang Zhen couldn't spare a hand to attack him, and Chen Zhen needed to harass Zhuanpin, so he couldn't spare a hand either. Guchen was a tank. Bai Pu felt that he had the advantage against Wang Zhen and Guchen at the same time. Wang Zhen raised his left arm, and the round shield on it was like a natural boulder barrier under the amplification of the rock armor. However, Bai Pu's chainsaw sword flashed with the shadow of a mountain collapse. Advanced level mountain collapse secret. With a loud bang, the boulder barrier shattered. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.